But yeah, anyways, I really appreciate you guys being on. So I guess for like the first thing to get started with, I'd really love to hear more about you guys and what you do. So if you can let everybody know.
Sure, yeah. Me and Dan became business partners about 4 years ago. We had both owned thrift stores, and Dan had been a manager of a sports card store for a long time. And then we just kind of, it progressed into coins and jewelry and sports cards and trading cards. And then we eventually stumbled across Proxibid and became licensed auctioneers so we could sell on there. And it's been kind of history ever since. So, for people that aren't familiar, Proxibid's a platform like eBay, but it's for auctioneers only, where we have events as opposed to individual items selling. So we'll have 1,200 items ending on a Sunday, everything shipped together, bundled together, and it kind of has more of an event feel, kind of more like a PWCC type event as opposed to just listings ending every day.
Yeah, I noticed that you guys had a crap ton of listings, and so I was just kind of curious because it seemed like you guys have a physical location, and then you also do the proxy bidding too.
Yeah, we have a retail space here in Lakewood, Washington. We actually opened up as a coin and jewelry store. This kind of all started because Travis and I were kind of, going our own ways in life, and we stumbled upon a coin collection, and we purchased it, and we're looking for an auctioneer to take it on as consignment. And we couldn't find an auctioneer, and with coins, its margins are very, very small. So we were looking for an auctioneer to kind of take this on at a lower consignment rate, and no one would do it. And despite the fact that it's almost no work to put this stuff onto Proxibid. So we decided, well, if no one else will do it, we'll just open our own auction company, and we'll do it ourselves and do it the way we wanted, which is with lower consignment rates on coins and just lower consignment rates in general.
Yeah. I think that's really awesome. What's the normal going rate for consignment? Is it around 8-10%? Are we talking more?
No, so for auctioneers, they typically, I would say the average across the nation, and you're talking, people that do $10 items all the way up to thousands of dollar items, but the standard rate they charge is as high as 35% plus a buyer's premium that they make. Some platforms, like on our platform, we don't make all the buyer's premium. Proxibid, the credit card company, taxes, those all play into our buyer's premium, but like a host like maybe Heritage, that buyer's premium you see, they make all of that plus whatever percentage they charge. Most of these larger companies advertise a much lower percentage. If they're selling, $10,000, $20,000 items, yes, they're doing 8%, 10% plus the buyer's premium. And that's where we've always been willing to work with people, especially businesses. Whatever percentage we need to make the item work for both of us is kind of what we do. Our advertised rate is 15% typically for businesses and 25% for just, guy off the street. If it's a collection, we have to go through, process, do all the work. But I have just hundreds of references of people that we've worked with because it just didn't make sense. I'm selling one gold coin for you. It sells for, $1,500 or $2,000. I'm going to take 0% of the item. You're going to get the full hammer price. I'll just take my cut of the buyer's premium. Everybody's happy. So I think, being a smaller auction company, we've had that luxury of being able to work with people. Whereas, a larger auction company, and we work with some of them, it's kind of flat. No, we won't work with you. It doesn't matter if it's a $80,000 item. So.
Gotcha. And so when did you start using Proxibid for all of your auctions? Was this a few years ago then? You've been doing this for a while?
Yeah, it was. We've been on Proxibid, I think, since July of 2017. So about three and a half years or so. It might be July of 2018. Everything kind of runs together at this point. But we've been on there 2.5 to 3.5 years. And we started off. So we initially started off. We're the number one volume seller on Proxibid.
Oh wow.
We've overtaken companies that have been on there for 20 years. And the way we did it originally was we had auctions 7 days a week, and it was crazy the amount of stuff we were selling. We've kind of pared it down now where we do the once a week collectibles auction. We used to do a little bit of everything, and we're really focused in on collectibles and jewelry and the stuff that we really enjoy. Because like that to me is like, it's great to sell a chop saw for $300, but I'd rather sell things I enjoy, and I enjoy all the cards and the coins and the jewelry and the other miscellaneous collectibles we sell. We've done poker chip collections and all kinds of interesting things. So
That's definitely really fun. And I'm guessing that, since you guys do you only do consignment with local sellers, local folks or local businesses?
No, I mean, I would say predominantly we have locals as our main thing. If we're going to have non-local stuff shipped to us, it's a very specific thing that we know we're not going to have to pass on and ship back. So your graded coins, your graded cards, your raw coin collections that are silver or gold. At the end of the day, people have sent me consignments that we had to reject, and we pay the shipping. I'm not gonna, somebody's already disappointed enough, so I'm happy to ship it back to them. But I typically don't want the situation where somebody thinks their collection's worth a lot of money and it's not, and I have to bear that bad news. So I'd say we mostly deal with locals, but we certainly get plenty of, I had a good business partner we work with down in Phoenix just ship us a bunch of CGC graded Pokemon cards, hundreds and hundreds of them. So we're certainly open to working with people all over the country.
That is really really awesome. And as far as with using proxy bids, what made you go with proxy bids over eBay?
I think.
Well, we actually
go ahead, Dan.
we actually sell on both proxy bid and eBay. We on eBay we typically do auctions, and mostly it's graded Pokemon cards right now. We also do graded sports cards, but obviously we're riding the Pokemon boom for sure. But for us, it was all about, we wanted to be able to provide a discounted rate. So if we sold somebody else's item on eBay for them, we would have to charge that 35% because of all the fees that eBay takes.
Yeah.
With Proxybid, we're able to kind of control the fees a little bit because of the buyer's premium. And I understand that the end purchaser is paying, the regular amount plus the buyer's premium, but the consigner we're still getting a significant portion of what an eBay sale would be, that the consigner is ending up with almost the same amount of money, and sometimes even more, because a lot of items on our auction, people are really excited about the kind of the smaller auction that they pay more sometimes once you include that buyer's premium than it goes for on eBay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I thought those auctions were really fun to look at, which is why I went ahead and decided I wanted to buy something, because I'm like, I'd never done this before. This is really cool. Yeah, that internet fee, that's the buyer fee then. Because at first I was like, oh wait, hold up, time out. What is going on here? What is this? I'm so used to eBay and their auctions, but it was a really good learning experience. And you guys had a crap ton of stuff. I was just kind of floored with the volume. Which I think is great. It seems like obviously consignment has been really good for you guys, and it doesn't seem to have slowed down even amidst all of the, COVID-19 and that impacting so many businesses. So it seems like to me, even though you do have a physical location, doesn't matter. You guys will sell just as much, probably in proxy bids.
The interesting thing about the consignment is when COVID started, we couldn't even take on as much as the demand to consign stuff. Every dealer we know basically said, oh shoot, there's no shows. How am I going to move all this stuff? And so it quickly became us hiring on staff for the summer for this project or this project. And really what we did was what we said is, we told all kind of our normal customers, we said, look, times are tough right now for businesses. We're going to only take from businesses during this COVID time because they're the ones that, this is life or death for them. It's not just their personal collection. We've kind of weaned off of that. And we've started getting back into accepting regular consignments, but it was overwhelming. And that's not to mention that, we have stacks of graded cards here of our own that need to get put on there. We've been grading like madmen as well. So we trying to keep everybody happy. For us, the most important thing is keeping the people happy that rely on us, and that this is their paycheck. So that, I think we pretty consistently did that. We tried to siphon out the people that were trying to sell just kind of the lower tier stuff to help their income, as opposed to it being their main source of income, and trying to keep everybody, because somebody that sold on our site, before COVID, maybe didn't have a chance to apply for unemployment during this time. So just trying to take care of those guys and keep it going for them.
That is really, really awesome. I really appreciate you guys doing that, just because, it's just helping people out. Like, we're all just people. We're all just, trying to help each other out. So, I mean, I think that's really awesome. And the fact that you had to turn people away because demand was so crazy, for you guys, that's just always a really, really great thing to see, that, in spite of everything, you would think that, there would be problems, but turns out for you guys, you've been able to really boom, I guess, essentially, since you guys are bringing on people in the summer. I mean, I think that's great. And, I guess as far as collectible goes, because you guys just said that you have some stacks of some slabs, like, I want to know, what do you guys have? Like, obviously you guys like sports cards and Pokemon, but, tell me about your collectibles, like your personal collections.
Well, so when I used to work at one of the bigger baseball card stores in our area, and I always had the kind of a personal thing where I didn't collect while I was working there, and a lot of that was just because I didn't feel like the advantages I had should be kind of abused for my own personal collection. So I always kind of treated the store stuff as my collection. For me, it's all about just like getting the really cool stuff to pass through my hands and to find the guy who really wants it. So for me, like, for example, we've had some pretty crazy stuff, especially since June. We've probably owned 20 first edition Shadowless Charizards since June.
Oh my God.
It's like I said, it's been pretty crazy. But we just, to us, it's all about, for us, it's about the hunt. We really like going out there and finding the stuff. I send Travis all across the country driving around, trying to find really unique and interesting collectibles. We're like the little version of American Pickers that just looks for Pokemon cards right now.
Hey, if that was a show, I'd watch it.
It would be a pretty awesome show. Like, for example, I guess it's about a month ago now, one of our customers actually said they said, we found this collection, we can't afford it, are you guys interested? And so we went and looked at this collection, and then we purchased it for a significant amount of money, but we were able to give our customer who gave us that lead, we gave him a $10,000 finder's fee. Just to show us that collection. So we're all about sharing this and making sure everyone's taken care of through all this. But yeah, we have some pretty cool stuff that's gone through here. For us, I guess obviously the focus lately has been Pokemon, but we've had some cool sports stuff and Magic stuff too. We had a beta BGS 8 Black Lotus come through. So we've had some pretty awesome stuff.
That's awesome. What would you say? I mean, I don't know much about the coin world, but with all of the collectibles that you had, Pokemon, Magic, coins, jewelry, what's been the most expensive, valuable thing that you guys have?
We've well, if you add in that jungle box that sold for 1.2 million at PWCC last month, that if you count that, but obviously that's not getting paid for. We know that. That was ours. We had a factory sealed case of 2003-04 Topps Chrome basketball. I think, what'd that sell for, Dan? 72,000 maybe?
No, it sold for 92,000.
Oh, sorry, 92,000 for that. And then a first edition Charizard 9 sold for 61,000, I think. A couple big ticket items. We have another first edition 9 Charizard. We're hoping to get roughly that same amount for it. We'll see kind of what happens. We, with our auction, each month we try to grow our ceiling of value. So what we do is, last month we were trying to do graded Pokemon cards that were $500 and less on our auction. This month it's all the way up to $1,500 and less on our auction. So next month we expect that to grow again, but with those more expensive items, the $50,000, the $60,000 items, we have been using PWCC. But what happens is each month we grow our threshold a little higher till hopefully we get to the point where most, if not all, collectibles we ran right on our auction for our customers. It's just kind of a certain, there's a cap to what our customers can spend each week. We have 300 or 400 people bid, they only have so much income to spend on collectibles each week. So it's kind of growing that ceiling of what we're willing to put on there.
That's really really nice. Did you guys go with PWCC for those higher price items because of like maybe they have a bigger platform or just more buyers?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of things. One is they have really reasonable consignment rates. eBay caps your fees at $250. At least they used to cap your fees on a per item basis at $250. PWCC charges for expensive items around 8%, which is really reasonable for stuff that's selling for $60,000. And what's nice about them is they're taking on a lot of the risk. When we give them that $60,000 Charizard, we don't have to have it sitting in our location that only has $200,000 of business insurance. We give it to them when they put it in their multi-million-dollar vaults with all their insurances and all of that. So it takes a lot of the stress of holding those items because 2 weeks ago I dropped a BGS graded first edition Charizard and I cracked the case.
How dare you? Oh my god!
It was only a 3. It was only a 3. Thank goodness. But those things happen, and so if I drop the 9, who knows what kind of grade we get when we regrade it? Because between a 9 and an 8.5, it drops by $15,000. It could have been a huge mistake. So getting that stuff out of our hands and getting it to PWCC has really just been a stress reliever for us. And they're only a 2-hour drive from us, so we don't have to mail it to them. We drive it down, deliver in person. We've built a really good relationship with those guys. We actually bought one of their vans, and so we use one of their vans to drive things back and forth. So
that is pretty awesome.
They've been really good for us. Yeah.
That's definitely really really fun. I didn't realize how close you guys were. Do they have an actual like front end store with all of the items? No, it's just fully vault.
It's like the Bat Cave. It is.
It really is.
There's no signs. If you want to drop stuff off, or if any listener wants to drop stuff off, please contact them first. It's not just a show up. I think the first time we showed up there, they said, "Who are you guys? We're not letting you in." Basically,
right.
At the security gate.
Yeah.
So definitely,
it's like a CIA black site. I mean, it's surrounded by trees and barbed wire and huge fences and big security gates, but it's off in the middle of nowhere too. So it's kind of crazy.
There's a river and trains and everything surrounding it. I mean, they couldn't have picked a better spot.
Yeah. And I mean, from their perspective, it totally makes sense considering the fact that you're right. They are taking hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars worth of risk with all the product that they have. I'm sure they are obviously for security purposes trying to keep everyone guessing with what they have. But I mean,
I think that's another important thing that, when talking about selling with them, and it kind of touches on what's big news lately in the Pokemon world is the sealed products. When you buy sealed product, it's not so much about even reputable sellers and knowing the seller. It's can the person that's selling it to you back it up? And that's where it's important. When you buy from a Heritage or you buy from a PWCC, you better believe if you open that thing on camera, and you do your due diligence and there's a problem, they're going to back it up. And so I think it's even people say, well, buy from a reputable seller. But that reputable seller, there is guys that are super reputable in this community that it's going to be hard for them to pay you back 3 months down the road if you pay them 20, if they reinvested that. So I think, I'm not saying don't buy from those guys because those guys are great too. But I'm saying I think of PWCC and I think of Heritage and I say there's no better place to sell or buy a sealed product because those guys can back it up. If they had to issue a $25,000 refund, it's not going to be a problem to them. It's way more important to them to keep their name in good standing than it is that money. So I think that's one of the major reasons why we sell stuff through them is they're willing to back it all up. Additionally with us, I mean, we back everything up that we sell through them, trust me. But I just like that feeling that, people know what they're getting from them. So I think with sealed product, I sell my stuff through there, so I don't want to pump up PWCC too much on that. But I think it's the same thing with Heritage. Is I felt when they had that first edition box that Logan Paul bought, we were interested in buying it We even had a couple bids thrown in. It's one of those things where I felt like if it was not real, and we were thinking about it back then, before all this, that was the first thing, is that you have to open this if you buy it. I felt like they would back it up, and that's important.
Yeah, I think I am glad you bring that up, because it definitely reminds me of the other recent time where someone bought a apparently sealed box of I can't remember if it was first edition or just the unlimited base set, and I can't remember the investor's name, but he spent something like 300,000 and bought it from someone, and then they opened it up live, and then it turned out to be a resealed box, and the people who sold it said that they didn't realize what it was. I mean, of course, I think at this point in time, they've kind of backed it up by providing him another box, which, they need to do, but, like, you've got to check your shit.
Yeah,
like, you've got to know what you're buying and selling people.
The weirdest thing about that whole thing is I'm not one of these people that sit here and hate, the people involved. Some of those guys are very not liked in this community. But I'm not one of those people that I judge, and I don't know what they're trying to portray versus who they are. I just really don't know. Maybe that's what they want to be perceived as because they're trying to make money. Whatever it may be, I think the weirdest thing that came out of this is that it was a clearly faked box. It wasn't that it was resealed 20 years ago. It was clearly faked. And then there was no recourse. The FBI didn't get involved. And a $375,000 purchase, I don't know if any of the people you see in the video were involved at all. Honestly, it's probably unlikely that any of them that you see in the video were involved in the scam side of it, because it's so much risk, because they knew they were opening it. But the fact that there's a guy out there that did fake it that's not being investigated on a $375,000 fake is alarming to me. The FBI gets involved in card scandals all the time. Like trimming, recoloring, all that. That's something that they have a section of the FBI that gets involved and make sure everything, people aren't being scammed. So I'm gonna kind of wait and see what happens with that. But I think, if I had kind of any say, I think there should be an investigation, because we need to kind of weed out these people that are doing this. And I heard similarly somewhere in Europe, there's another guy that's kind of been caught resealing stuff, more, cheaper stuff, $20,000 boxes. And it's not one of those things where it's like, oops, sorry, I'll give you your money back. I think there needs to be kind of some prosecution to set the standard of, hey, we're not going to do this.
Yeah, I agree. I think there definitely has to be some kind of recourse. Because I think one of the great things about the Pokemon community, at least the people that I've been like around, surrounded by, they do for the most part try to, advocate for buyers who don't know what they're buying, and then sellers who don't know what they're selling either. Sometimes they don't realize they have a $1,500 card and are about to sell it to someone for way super under the value when they don't know. So, and then, I mean, it's been known, all of the scams on eBay with like those magic listings, they'll just kind of like blow an account up, like have like a booster box listed like with a quantity of 25, and just go in and bail and pull the money out, and you've just, burned an account. I mean, a lot of those things happen. And so especially with, economically, everything that's going on, especially right now, we need to protect buyers and sellers from scammers, because it happens both ways. I've seen people sell, key issues in comics, and we're talking about like $2,500, and the buyer wanting to return it, and they return a completely different comic, stuff like that happens. And so I do hope that people know that there are consequences doing these things. These are crimes. You are committing a crime. You are scamming people. That's not okay. So, and considering the fact that this hobby is absolutely going to get bigger, the community can only do so much. So hopefully the FBI can step in.
For me, that's one of the big things too, is this, this is blowing up so much. There's a ton of money in it right now. There's plenty of money in it to make a lot of money doing it straight up. I mean, you don't have to do these scams. Like I just don't understand. Like, just sell if you had the box, just sell the box and make the legitimate money. But it's like they want to double dip and open it, because they might be true collectors / people who want to make money, and so they want to open it because they're excited to open it, and then they're like, oh crap, I opened this. Well, how can I get some of my money back? And then they get down a dark path, and it's really sad for the whole industry because we've sold packs and had them opened and not be the right cars, and we backed it up. We took these from a consigner and backed these up and made sure that everything was up on the up and up. And now we no longer accept booster packs or booster boxes. Anything that you see that's a booster pack or booster box is stuff we've acquired, that thoroughly vetted the person we bought it from, and then put it online.
That's really awesome. I'm really glad you guys back it up, and I'm sorry about that that case where someone tried to consign some reseal, right?
It happens, and they didn't necessarily even know it was resealed product. They just acquired it from somebody else too. That we have a lot of people in this area going around looking for good deals. They find a good deal, and all of a sudden they want to consign it because sometimes when it's too good to be true, it actually is too good to be true.
Yeah,
and so I think that was just a situation our consigner got themselves into.
Yeah. I'm curious to know how you guys feel about this. And this is something that I know other people have kind of wrestled with, but the fakes that are on eBay or just, auction sites in general, anyone selling fake cards, not even resale, just fake cards. When you get those fake cards and you realize they're fake, and let's say the seller wants them back, do you cut those cards up or do you leave them intact?
Well, I think it just depends on value. If I received a booster box that I paid $8,000 for and I think it's fake, so I'm going to return it, I'm not going to open it to prove that it's fake, because at the end of the day, when and if I'm wrong, it's simply too much money, or to them, it's not fake. So, to them, a difference of opinion. So whereas we kind of have a professional level, if we could tell somebody legitimately it's fake, I would caution people from, hey, I received this card, I think it's fake, I'm going to cut it in half and send it back to the guy, and then it ends up having been real. Now you're on the hook potentially, and even if you're not wrong, that seller, if you're buying on eBay, let's say, that seller can say it was returned in a different condition. So it's I think you have the justification to do it. It's one of those things where, is that a hill you want to die on? Do you want to risk, do you want to risk your money versus principle? And sometimes, yes, like if you just simply won't return it because you think this person did wrong and the money side of it's not more important to you, then yes, cut it. Don't give them the wrapper back, fight it through your credit card company, because there's other ways to go about doing a return than just click return on eBay. Maybe do it that way. But if the money's very important to you and it's you bought a fake first edition Charizard for $2,000, like these proxies that you're seeing on eBay, then I would say just return it just to be safe. Because at the end of the day, you don't want to be the one that's on the hook for that money.
Well,
so
and
it's a fine line.
And that's somewhere where eBay really needs to step into and eliminate the proxies. They're doing the work to go out and find things they don't like. So, like, for example, we had some issues over the last month or so where we listed a BGS card and we put PSA question mark at the end of the description, kind of get the cross listing, the cross searches for a card that was BGS graded with people who are searching PSA. They weed those out, but they don't weed out proxy. And these people are selling, Charizard proxies for $230. They make it look like it's a really good deal. Like, if you're going to sell a proxy, sell it for $3. Sell it for the cost that it costs you to print it. That's where they just need to eliminate those from eBay. And eBay's got to do a better job of regulating, in my opinion. And then if you want to buy from a proxy site, like, have some legitimate proxy site go out there and make proxies. But I mean, it's still there's still copyright laws involved in this, that you're making copies of something that's copyrighted and copyright's owned by Wizards of the Coast. So, it's one of those things that it's really frustrating, and that I think eBay could do a better job. But of course, their hands are full too. They're doing all kinds of stuff, and so it's just, there needs to be self-police. There needs to be people need to be just really cautious about what they're buying online. And avoiding things where, like, the letter RP appears in the title somewhere, which means reprint. But in the end of the day, like, you need to make sure you're getting what you think you're getting and pay up for something that's real. If you know that you're getting it from a reputable source, don't worry about the the 19 cents more it costs you to buy it from the person who's got 20,000 feedback versus the person who's got 6 feedback. So that's, to me, that's what it's all about.
Right.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Sorry.
You're fine.
On that. I think eBay could do better. You're trying to walk that fine line of, should I destroy the item? Should I make it not able to be frauded again? Maybe eBay needs to have their own return center for things that are specifically labeled as fraudulent items, not real authentic. And then they could have the legal authority to destroy the item. So you open a return, you think it's fraudulent, you send it to them. They make the decision, yes, you're getting your refund and we're destroying it, and they can put that all in their user policy. But I think that's the only way you're ever going to get to a point where it's safe for the buyer to get the item off the market.
That is a great idea. I like it.
I agree. I think that's a really good idea. And that's why, so I've never actually used it myself, but I think StockX, that company that takes in the product, I mean, of course, they have a lot of, upfront things that they have to do, right? They take in the product, they verify that it's real, and then they, go back and let people sell it or auction it off. I can't remember how it works exactly, but like, the long story short, there's a verification process, and I agree. I think if eBay wants to continue to improve their product, I think that's probably part of something that they need to do, because you can't, unfortunately, it's good and bad. It's great that we have so many new people into the hobby. I think that's awesome. I love seeing the hobby grow in very positive ways. But part of the problem too is that there are some people that just don't know. Buyers that want things that just don't know. And you're right. They see the deal that's too good to be true. They don't do the research. They don't make sure that it's reputable. They don't care who's selling it. They don't look at the product listing reviews. They see a listing for, a first edition Charizard that's a quantity of 25. Like, no, that is not, so they don't know, and it's okay to not know, but you have to educate yourself. And I think eBay, like what you were saying, either having some like a fraudulent warehouse or some kind of verification process, I think that could really help people out.
Yeah, I think it would help the hobby overall. I think that at the end of the day, I don't think eBay will do it. That's the first thing, is I don't think the logistics of it are going to make sense to them money-wise, but I think it's the only solution. So I just don't want people to later say, hey, you told them to get, to send the stuff back and let them resell it. Well, at the end of the day, that might be your only option sometimes, because at the end of the day, if you want your money back, they want their product back. And in no way are any of us are certified experts to say something's fake, even if you know it at the end of the day that it's fake. It makes it very tough. I think a lot of new people are jumping in the hobby, and I think it's not only them buying the fakes, it's them not being able to weed out what was a real sale. As early as this week, I found, check mark. We know it's, not a real bidding, shill bidding across multiple items. Somebody then lists the similar item, shill bidding happening. I mean, and it's all over the place. And some of these cards that we're seeing a slight decline, the decline might not be real. The peak might have been fake. So like when you look at a card, base set unlimited Charizard, PSA 9 or BGS 9, I know Logan Paul sold some, and those were probably real sales because you're buying it from a famous person, you want to pay a little more. But other than that, the couple of sales that we saw right after his video that hit 7,000 or 5,000 or 6,000, maybe the card was never worth more than 4,500, and those were fake sales. And they I see it dropping a little bit, but I don't know if the drop is real. If that makes sense, is I think the drop might just be where it was supposed to be, and those were fake shill bidding sales. So the data kind of is a little off, and that causes new buyers to think, well, 4,700, that's a steal. I'm not an expert in the matter, but it could be a steal. It could not be a steal. You got to really analyze all the different sales. I think only using auctions, that used to be the standard. I'm going to use auctions to figure out what stuff's worth. I think finding buy it nows now is almost more telling of what something's worth, because the auctions are what the shill bidders are targeting. The shill bidders aren't just clicking buy it now and paying for the items to shill an item up. So the actual sold listings, I think are almost more telling in the Pokemon market. What did somebody actually sell this for, and somebody was willing to pay?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting to see, like those different ways that the market can be manipulated. I mean, I know I've heard this before, and I've never owned a card shop. I've never been a local business owner like that, but I've heard of maybe a collection of sports card stores going into eBay, pricing like a particular card at a certain amount, and then they will buy each other's, and then all of a sudden we see an influx of, like, I don't know, like a Vlad Jr. Rookie card going for X amount of money when, that card is probably in all reality worth like $5. You kind of see a little bit of pricing manipulation right there. And it just sounds really similar, based on what you're saying. It's just manipulation of the market.
Yeah, I think there's a fine line between the shill bidding or market manipulation and somebody that's making an investment. So like I might go on TCG Player and say, hey, Blastoises look like a really good deal today. I'm going to buy 200 of them, everyone that's under $100, let's say. We've made some decisions like this in the past, just on a particular card that we think is a good deal. Does that affect the market? Well, the new bottom priced one is now $100, and I own all these ones that were $40 and $50 and $60. We're living in a month ago history. I know that it's hard to find that stuff anymore. But I don't think there's anything wrong with that because we backed up the purchase. We paid for the items. There's no manipulation of the market. We paid for the items, and by doing so, it increased the average price of them. It's a little different when somebody bids on something and then doesn't pay. Or in that scenario where you're talking about the multiple card dealers, obviously they're not following through with these transactions because they're plotting it to just increase the value of their own items. So I think there's a big, just because somebody asks a lot of money for something, I don't think they're manipulating the market. That's just free market. You can ask whatever you want for your items. Just because they buy out everything of something, that's free market. Like I'm okay with people doing that, especially with singles. Gary from Pawn Stars owns 20 first edition PSA 10 Charizards. He bought those from people. He didn't grade every one of those himself. It's okay for somebody to own a large stake of an individual card or market, as long as they're willing to back it up. It's not like he's making sure everyone on eBay goes over a certain price and then not paying. So I think there's a fine line, and people don't really necessarily understand the two. That's what I want people to know is that if people are backing up their purchases on eBay or TCG Player or whatever, the market's going to go up. They're just trying to get their piece of what they perceive to be a good deal.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And, as far as your guys' thoughts on the market in general, I mean, of course, this year we've been seeing this really, really big boom, which is really awesome, really great for the hobby. I love other people going in and just collecting things that they like. And it just comes to show that they're willing to put, some major cash down, which is cool. I'm totally fine with that. So as far as pricing goes, do you think these prices are inflated, or do you think this more reflects truly their value, or will we see the market correct itself?
If my money was on it, I would think anything that has a first edition stamp from any set is not going down. You won't even see a plateauing. You'll just see a kind of a constant, and this has been going on for a long time. I think the big misconception is I keep hearing Logan Paul. But real specific examples, Logan, the Red Cheeks Pikachu was, $3,500 in May. In July, it jumped to $5,000. In August, it jumped to $7,500. Logan Paul did his thing and jumped to $10,000. But a lot of people are saying, look, because of Logan Paul, the Red Cheeks first edition Pikachu went from $3,000 to $10,000. They're equating the whole price increase to this one event. But when in reality, there was a gradual, strong, 20, 30% a month increase. So I don't think it's this thing where it's spiked up as much as everybody else thinks. Do I think certain cards spiked up? The kind of face level, every collector should have a base unlimited Charizard. That stuff spiked up very fast. And when I'm telling people to invest their money, I'm not saying don't buy that stuff. I'm saying the safest stuff to buy has a first edition symbol on it from whatever set. So if you're looking for a safe investment, it's probably not unlimited from every set. I'm not saying those are bad investments at all. I'm just saying that the safest investment will be something that was a limited issue, like a first edition.
What I find to be really interesting with the first editions, like what you were saying, is so earlier this year and a little bit of last year in the wintertime, I started buying a few first edition Shadowless cards, and they were cool. They were really nice. I love them. I still have them. When I started to see common cards jump like 5, 6x, I was like, holy crap, these are just basic ass cards. It was so crazy to me to see that. And obviously I'm happy for it. Will I sell them? No. At first I thought about it because I'm like, oh my God, I've got a $300 card that I spent $50 on. That's awesome. I love it, but
Yeah, it's when I see a first or a unlimited Charmander are selling for $800 as a PSA 10. Those are cards that we graded them. We got this random order back from PSA where we got some of the PSA 10 Charmanders. We paid 50 cents or a quarter for those cards, graded it for $11, and all of a sudden they're $800 cards. It just didn't make any sense. When we sent them off, we were hoping to get $25. Make $10 or $15. So I think Travis is right where the first edition stuff, because it's so limited, and Shadowless too, like basic Shadowless without the first edition stamp, it's really rare. Like the print run on that it's almost comparable to the first edition. Like you just don't see a ton of it. So I think those two editions of the base set will really hold, and then anything like you said, anything first edition, and then obviously some of the crazy stuff like the trophy cards and the really really rare stuff. That stuff will hold value and probably continue to grow as the year goes, and as we get into next year too, with the 25th anniversary coming out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, most definitely. And to add to what you were saying about, a Charmander, PSA 10 selling for like 800, I wonder if those cards you will start to see the market correct, because I know some investors, I don't know if you follow Rudy on YouTube. He does all the Magic the Gathering stuff, and he also talks about a few other TCG sets. Like Pokemon and Flesh and Blood, and one of the things that keeps him from buying individual cards is that crazy fluctuation in their values, and so he personally sticks with just sealed products, sealed boosters, the packs, the boxes, whatever they are. And I can totally understand him, because I wouldn't say that. I know some stuff. I would not, by any stretch of the means, call myself, an expert when it comes to any of this. But I can understand someone kind of staying away from that, because to them, they see volatility. So I guess we'll see how high, those cards, the first editions, the Shadowless, actually end up getting, and when we will start to see a plateau, like what you were saying. So that'll be really interesting to see, I think, in the next 2 to 5 years, and then of course the next 5 to 10 years, to see just the long term of that. But we've been talking about a lot of vintage, and I think from what it sounds like, we all kind of prefer the vintage. But I'm just really curious, when it comes to the modern sets that have been coming out. We don't know the print runs. But we know, we can probably assume that they're really, really big. Considering what happened with sports cards and comic books in the 90s, do you both feel that when it comes to the modern sets, are we seeing the same thing? Is this going to be a repeat of the 90s?
Well, go ahead.
Okay. What I think the major thing, and you touched on this on the different podcast, is that the things that, when somebody pulls a Charizard now, they do take care of it. Oh, most people, 50%, I'd say, 50% of the collections we have come in that are modern Charizards or the best cards are perfectly kept. So that'd be your Ken Griffey Jr. rookie card. Back in '89, everybody kept good care of that, because their dad told them, hey, this will be worth $1 million by the time you're 40. Well, because everybody took care of it, it didn't become worth $1 million. But it did go up in value. Like, that's where we're seeing, like, it has gone up in value. So that's the argument to, like, hey, if everybody keeps it in good shape, will it be worth anything? Well, the answer is yes. It just takes more time. It doesn't happen in 5 years or 10 years or maybe even 20 years, but it does happen. The real thing people are missing in the modern sets, and I find it so comical, because somebody will buy a Charmander from me for, let's say closer to what market price is. I'd be happy to sell one for $300 or $400 for a PSA 10 unlimited Charizard. That's market value. they buy that from me, but then I see them open a box of Champions Path and they say, oh, you can have all my bulk for free. You can, or they just throw it back in the box and they don't take care of it. That's the very same cards that 20, 30 years ago, or 20, 30 years from now, will be the ones that nobody took care of, that are rare. Even though they're common, just like the Unlimited Charmander, those will be what the set builders 20 years from now are having a hard time finding in mint condition. So it's just so funny to me to see people doing the same thing they did 20 years ago. Oh, I don't care about this because it's not shiny. I think you should, in my opinion, you shouldn't sell your bulk. You should keep it in good shape because that's your investment. Everything else is art that you put on the shelf right now and you enjoy. The other stuff, that your run-of-the-mill Pikachus and Charmanders in the sets today, I think they'll hold a value 20 years from now because not enough people kept them in good shape and took care of them. And at the end of the day, there's people that want to complete sets. They want to complete sets in mint condition, and that's where the demand's going to come in, down the road. People will be thinking back, there's kids today that are just not taking care of it, and they're going to say, oh, I wish I would have kept all this really nice. What can I get? In the year 20, living down in the stretch 2040, they're going to say, man, I wish I could find a mint condition, Hidden Fates common Pikachu or common Charmander, and they just won't be able to do it.
Mm-hmm. Right. So then how do you guys feel about like the sealed product? Do you think that the sealed versions of like Hidden Fates, Champions Path, what was it, Darkness Ablaze, like just any of them, if people have sealed products, should they keep it sealed or should they open it?
It just depends on how you're feeling. I mean, if you're feeling like gambling today,
lucky?
then it's not, exactly. I have a sealed case of Hidden Fates ETBs at my house. Just one of the people we do business with, he's just Pokemon savant, and he's like, you need to buy as much of this Hidden Fates stuff as you can. It's going to be going to $500 a box, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, whatever. I'll buy 2 cases, 2 cases at $30 in ETB. So I'm going to do those cases for $330 a case. Now it's looking great when they're, $2,400, $2,500 a case. I should have listened to him because he bought 100 cases because he's a wild man and a super investor on Pokemon.
That's awesome. He's got a huge position.
He does. Well, he also has the problem where he can't resist, and he's probably opened half of them now.
No.
He enjoys. He's very wealthy, and so the money doesn't actually matter to him. He's just all about having fun and finding cool stuff. So, he keeps holding on to them, and I keep saying, hey, you want to sell me some? And of course, he doesn't want to sell it.
Oh man, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, but I think that I think that putting away a couple boxes of everything is great. I wished I listened to my baseball card self back in 2009 when I was like, well, I should put away a couple boxes of Bowman Chrome baseball every year, and then 7 years later sell it, because it's basically guaranteed that every Bowman Chrome baseball product 7 years from when they put it out, you will profit. Just because that's when those guys finally are making the majors. That's when you see the huge price spikes on guys. In 2010, I was really big on Mike Trout when he was in Double-A. I actually told my brother, and my brother's crazy, but I told him, I said, Mike Trout's going to be one of the 3 greatest players of all time. And I was just blowing smoke, but I didn't back that up because at the time I was working at a card shop. My rule is I don't invest in cards while I'm working there. But if I had backed that up, I could have bought Bowman Chrome Refractor Auto rookies for $60. That's a $20,000 to $25,000 card now. So it's just
easy money.
It was, I probably wouldn't be here today, to be honest. I'd be on a beach somewhere drinking Mai Tais. But it's just one of those things where, if you put away the sealed product, it's great. It's all about picking where you think the market cap is. So 2009 Bowman Chrome is great. If you have boxes, you're selling them for $10,000 a box. But 2007 now that those guys are kind of retired and kind of older, now it's dropped. So you have to really anticipate that market cap. So I could buy boxes of 2005. 2005 is another great example. 2005 Bowman Chrome, it probably capped out at around $1,000 a box when Ryan Zimmerman was hot and all those guys. Now I could buy those boxes for under $200. Because now those guys are retired and didn't become Hall of Famers. Verlander's in there, so it's maintained some value. But the rest of the guys that kind of kept the setup, they kind of became regular stars, had good careers, but weren't like Hall of Fame kind of level guys. And so it's, if you had been able to sell it $1,000, boxes you bought for 110, it'd been a great deal. Now, if you want to sell boxes you bought for 110 in 2005 for $185, you're still making a profit, but your return on investment's not great. So it's all about choosing that perfect time. And that's where it's so hard, because we've sold some crazy stuff over the last, even especially in Pokemon, over the last 4 or 5 months. We sold, gosh, I don't even know, like what's like something crazy that you regret, Travis?
Oh, I mean, we sold a first edition set graded, almost every card graded on our auction. It wasn't ours, but we didn't buy anything from it. The guy offered it to us for $15,000, and we always tell consigners, hey, we tell them if we think they're going to make more. We said, hey, we think you'll make more than that if you just throw it on our auction. So we passed on it at $15,000. Most
of the set was graded 9s and 10s.
Yeah, it was all graded 8s, 9s, 10s. It sold for $17,000. We had a special deal with him that he was getting 100% of hammer price, so he did make more money. But just the Venusaurs were $17,000 now. I mean, just the 9 Blastoise. I mean, it was so when you thought you were breaking records 4 months ago, you're turning around and looking at like, oh, I sold it for half, and that's where you get the not even true collectors. There's so many people I approach on Instagram, on Craigslist, on OfferUp, that are showing off their collections, and they say, I'm not selling anything Wizards of the Coast, because everything I've ever sold has gone up, and I regret it. And that's where, being dealers, we sell where it's at in the market today. Okay, so everything's a regret, but we got to keep a business going. We have other people's mouths to feed. We have employees. So we have to sell it, but that's what's driving this market more than anything, is that the demand is very high, and the supply would be sufficient for the demand, and the prices wouldn't go up. It would just plateau or kind of gradually go up. But every single person that I know that has, $20,000 collection, $100,000 collection, $500,000 collection, they're not selling because they just have seen it. Everything they have sold, they've regretted. And so they try to learn it. And it's like reverse fear of missing out. They already have it, and they don't want to let it go and feel dumb. I sold a first edition base set box, factory sealed box. I think it was 4 years ago, for $7,000 to my friend. Okay, $7,000 for that box. And it was going for $9,000 at the time. I kind of got in a big deal. I didn't even know what it was. I didn't know too much about Pokemon 4 years ago. I sold it to him for $7,000. He opened it. He enjoyed it. Kept some of the cards. He sold a bunch of the packs. He made a lot of people happy about it. A year after that time, it went from $9,000 to $100,000.
And now it's $375,000.
Yeah, this is when Pokemon Go came out. I had zero regret for selling it, because I'm a dealer. That's what I do. I sell stuff for market value or a little bit less than market value on a daily basis. He had no regret because he enjoyed it, and he brought all that joy to all those people. Those packs that he sold to people are probably one and the same that you see Leon Hart opening 1Z, 2Z packs and TCA Gaming. He just sold them on eBay to people, and it's really helped the community. I understand the box is worth $375,000 now. I could have kept, I literally had paid almost nothing for it. I could have kept that in my safe and not cared about it at all. And I would have made $375,000 for nothing, return on that investment, 1,000,000%. But at the end of the day, there needs to be people like me and Dan here that help this demand. I grade those cards. I'll spend $10 on a card to get it graded through PSA that I think is only going to sell for $15. Because we have, when you extrapolate that out to, I have 15,000 cards at PSA right now, I'm happy with that return on investment overall. Obviously, there's a lot that are much, much better than that. But there needs to be us dealers that are trying to, there's a supply and demand issue. I think people are bit too. I don't want to say lazy. They're too worried about the risk of sending stuff off to grade themselves. They're scared about it taking too long, and so I don't know who else is doing it, but we're trying to just fill in that gap. As you can see on our auction, we let them set the price. I'm not saying, hey, because I have it, you're gonna have to pay this price. I'm not trying to be greedy in any way. Whatever it goes for, it goes for. And we're trying to move through a whole lot of it to kind of help with that supply and demand. I'd like to see it, on the cheaper stuff. I'd like to see a plateau. I'd like to see more kids be able to get involved. I'd like to see more people that maybe don't have the resources right now to get involved. There's no need for everything to go up. Do I want these people that have invested heavily in really expensive, rare pieces of art type cards, first edition Charizards and trophy cards? I do want to see those appreciate. I want to see hedge funds buying those, but it's kind of a balance, I don't want to see the stuff that used to be cheap keep going up forever and price everybody out either, though.
Mm-hmm. Right. I can definitely agree with that. And, I'm just kind of curious because, obviously you just said that when you have consignments, you don't set the price. Your customer sets the price. And so I'm just kind of curious, how do you handle the situation where the seller wants to sell it at a stupid price that is just not going to sell? Like, do you come across that?
Yeah, we actually had a customer. We had a customer come in yesterday, and he had some rare knives, and we do sell knives on our auction occasionally. I mean, this isn't really collectibles. I guess it's collectibles, but he, had hit a lot of costs into these, so he wanted to start the auctions at $100 for these knives, and he thought, oh, they're probably worth 150 to 175. And I was like, well, we start every auction at $1, and we let the market kind of take it where it is, and we believe that if you start these auctions at $1, you're going to get so much more interest along the way between there and the 100 that you're still going to get the number you want and the number that the item is really worth. That the extra interest that you generate from starting the auction low totally benefits you to just believe in the market. We're big believers in the market. We sell. When we sell our Shadowless 8 Charizard on eBay, we start at 99 cents with free shipping.
Mm-hmm.
We don't worry about what it's going to go for. And of course, a lot of that has to do with the fact that we don't have much cost into this, and we have a lot of cost into that card. But we just believe that the market will kind of dictate itself and take care of you as long as you trust it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And he did say one thing. We do start our monthly auctions at $5.
That's true, but those are usually bigger lots. And,
just for shipping purposes, and if something on that auction went for less than $5, we'd lose significant money just on the shipping. So we do $1 start every Sunday, and then $5 start once a month on the monthly auctions.
Okay. So, I mean, that's really cool, and I like that you say that trust the market, because as far as that mindset goes, you guys aren't trying to scam people. You guys are trying to take care of people. You guys aren't setting, crazy, like the price you think something will sell 2 or 3 years from now. You guys aren't doing that. You guys are setting, like what you've been saying, at market price, at market value. So, I'm sure that your customers, anyone who's actually buying from those listings, can really appreciate that, because as you guys said, you guys focus on taking care of people. So I think that's really good. And I would hope that there's more out there like you, because people like you guys are really critical to the community. Like what you were saying, Travis, earlier, we need more people that's going to, not just fulfill the demand, because obviously there's a huge demand, but also just doing the right thing, which is setting fair prices. I remember, and I don't fault the consigner, the person who was making the post, but this one on Instagram, this particular gentleman was trying to sell a PSA 10 Shining Gyarados from Neo Destiny, I believe. He bought it in October, like mid-October, and the reason why I know is because the seller actually reached out to me. Bought it mid-October for about $6,000, and was trying to sell it on consignment for $15K. And I just thought it was so insane. And this was literally like earlier this week, last week. So, in the midst of an entire month or so, however many weeks that was, we're looking at a card that's more than doubled in value like that really, really quickly. I could see maybe that Shining Gyarados is going to be, $15K I mean, 2 to 5 years from now, because it's a first edition stamp. Like, it's a really beautiful card. But, just trying to sell it for these crazy exorbitant prices. I mean, I don't know if they found any buyers for it. I mean, like, I
It's
get it. You're wanting to
yeah,
make money on what you've got. And that's totally cool. Like, I don't judge that, because you're trying to make money, I'm trying to make money. We're all trying to pay bills. But I think there's a difference, like what you guys are saying. Fair prices versus what it could be 5 years from now. So,
yeah. I think though, in that situation, somebody that's done really well on an item, if you have low feedback, I'd say consign it with somebody like PWCC, Heritage. Reach out to people like us. We have a super stacked eBay account. We're all of those people. The money you're going to pay them in their, whatever their percentage is, 8%, 10%, 20%, whatever it is, whether you're selling on eBay, Proxibid, Heritage has their own platform. Everybody has different fees of their own that they have to associate with that. You're going to always do better and have less of a headache letting somebody else sell that card for you than just putting it on Instagram and expecting somebody to pay you this price that's never been realized before. That's where we harp on, just trust the market. If it only sells for, like you said, if he paid, $8,000 for it, if it only sells for $10,000, guess what? It's only worth $10,000. At least you should feel good that you didn't sell somebody something that's worth $10,000 for $15,000. And that's kind of where we've had people, like I had a card recently that sold on my eBay. Guy didn't pay. I relisted it for less. And then a guy offered me an amount of money. And I said, you know what? I'll take even less than that, because I want you to start with a head start on this. I don't want you to overspend. Because at the end of the day, when somebody walks into my store, there's a lot of people jumping into Pokemon, and they literally say, I'll buy whatever you'll sell me. What will you sell me for $1,000?
wow.
I always tell them, hey, I sell this on eBay for $400. I'm going to sell it to you for $280, because I want you to start with a head start in case it goes down a little bit, unless there's a dip. I think that's huge, is that, on the idea is to start with a head start. If you're looking to invest, do not go and buy the most expensive thing, unless it's sealed product. If you're buying sealed product, pay the premium, buy from Heritage, buy from PWCC, buy from TCA Gaming, buy from Gary from Pawn Stars. If any of those guys will sell to you sealed product, pay the extra. But when it comes to the cards, the graded cards, if you're buying graded cards, start with a head start. Go bid on 500 of the same card at a good discounted price, and you'll win one of them. And if you start with that head start, you're overwhelmingly in any collectible world, you're not going to lose money, because the dips will just get you back to where you started, instead of, hey, I'm upside down on a PSA 10 unlimited Charizard that I just spent $35,000 for, and a month ago I was selling for 25, and a month before that I was selling for 15. Because at the end of the day, it could retrace a little bit. So try to start with a head start. Bid on places that other people don't bid. Most of my guys that bought Pokemon from us on our auction, not to shameful plug here, most of my guys that bought from us last year, I think there's probably 2 or 3 guys that made $100,000 buying Pokemon from us last year, because they were getting it, just in the difference of what it was worth when they bought it to what it's worth now, and now they're selling it. Try to hunt down those, Proxibid's a great place. Goodwill auctions, that's a good place. Searching eBay new listings at night, that's a good place. eBay auctions ending at bad times, early in the morning, middle of the night. Those are all good places. Heritage overwhelmingly always has good deals for sealed product. I think they have an auction coming up in 2 weeks. I've noticed they sell for 25, 30% less than market value on Heritage for whatever reason. I don't know if that'll continue because the Pokemon boom's so high. Hunt for new places to buy, your local card shop. Ask about their bulk boxes that they have hidden away that might have those first edition cards from a long time ago. Just start with a head start and you'll do fine. If you go out there and there's no investor in the world that'll tell you to go buy stuff at retail price and expect to be making money after 1 month. If you're looking long term and you have the resources to hold on to something for 20 years, 10 years, 5 years, go ahead and buy it at retail price. But if you're looking to, potentially need to move it for some kind of bill or resource, start with the head start. Big thing.
Mm-hmm. So then, man, that's really good advice. So you guys are saying buy first editions, which I totally agree with. Also sealed boxes, just pay that premium price, go with someone who's reliable. I mean, I think that's really, really good advice. What advice would you give for someone that is trying to buy raw cards, or do you suggest it? Buying raw cards versus PSA, or just graded in general?
Uh, I'm a big fan of we buy raw cards. I mean, to be honest, we buy raw cards so we grade them. Um, because that's where like the big swings of value happen. Obviously, is within the grading. If you're a collector who wants to put a collection in a binder, I have no problem with that. Buy the raw cards all you want. But if you want to like, if you're doing this as an investment, really at the end of the day, you're going to want something that's slabbed. Um, if you're buying it as a collection, as a hobby, just buy whatever makes you happy. That's kind of where I'm at. For me, I used to, when I didn't work in a card store, in my other life as a divorce lawyer, I used to build low grade vintage sports card sets. That was kind of my hobby. It was always about value for me in a way, but it was always a challenge. Like, how cheap can I build a certain set?
That's
Um,
awesome.
so like I built like a 1970 Topps football set for under $50.
Wow.
Like crazy stuff. Like because you can find these deals on eBay and ComC and all kinds of places where you can finish these sets for a really good price if you don't care about condition. And I never did because for me it was always just about the challenge of building the set for cheap. That was the hobby to me. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
It was the
you know
hunt.
it was the hunt. I'm all about the hunt. I don't like I'm not really an investor. Like whenever I buy something like that Hidden Fates case in my closet at home is just burning a hole in my closet. I feel like I need to get it out and either open it or sell it because like I already made enough money on the investment. It was just the fact that like I took my friend's advice for once and bought stuff because he's a Pokemon millionaire.
Gosh,
So
that's
he's been saving this stuff since 1999. He was buying a Skyridge and sticking it away. Like I mean,
awesome.
he's got some banana stuff. But he doesn't sell. He won't sell to me. He'll give advice on what I should buy, but he doesn't sell. So, um, it's one of those things where it just do what makes you happy. If you're doing this as an investment, try to get the highest grades you can in the rarest stuff you can find.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's the first edition. That's the Shadowless stuff. Um, and it's for and and what another great one is the graded sealed packs from PSA. If you find a sealed booster pack, for the most part, you're going to know it's a light pack because the people who sent those in are going to send lights for the most part.
Right, more
Um, so,
valuable that way.
but it's guaranteed. It's an authenticated pack. It's going to maintain its value. It's encased. It's protected. It's a great investment. So we've sent packs to PSA too. So they've got packs out there. We'll never get this stuff back from PSA. Sometimes that's how I feel.
Oh
But
man, yeah.
it's to me, PSA is just like our business savings account. We just send them stuff once in a while, and one day, hopefully, we'll get it back, and hopefully, there'll still be a good market for all the stuff, which I think there will. I think that with the 25th anniversary and Pokemon's really, really as the company, they're really been on top of making sure everything's really desirable and making sure that there's chase cards now in each product that everybody's
Mm-hmm.
wanting. Charizard seems to appear a lot in products all of a sudden.
Always.
Yeah, yeah. So and even with like Vivid Voltage coming out, like the Fat Pikachu is pretty cool looking card. Like I like it. I want the Fat Pikachu card. I want a PSA 10 of that on my desk. So
Hell yeah. Like you said,
I think
art.
as far as
exactly.
for raw stuff, just to touch back on that, we use TCG Player and just simply look at, if I can buy, if a near mint copy as a, PSA 8 is maybe $1,000 and I can buy 4 of the same thing near mint on TCG Player, I'm going to do that all day long because I'm patient and willing to wait for the grades to come back.
Mm-hmm.
So raw, I think impatience is why people aren't buying raw. I think people are being very impatient. They want it now. But trust me, I benefit from not saying this. But go buy 100 Charmanders and send them to PSA for it'll cost you $1,000 plus the cost. You're maybe into it for $1,200. Well, just 3 PSA 10s is going to pay for it out of that 100 Charmanders. You're going to have 100 graded cards for the same price as just buying 3 from me at $300 or $400 a piece. I think be patient. There's an excitement that comes with grading that I don't think most people realize. every day I get grades back from Beckett. I sign on
So
there.
much
It's the
fun.
first thing I wake up at
Mail
9
day.
in the morning. I look and I know that there's going to be at least one thing graded 5 days a week from Beckett, because we do send them a lot of stuff. There's an excitement there, and people are honestly missing out on what I perceive to be the funnest part of the hobby is sending the stuff to grading and getting the grades back. So people should take their time, go to TCG Player. We sell raw cards on our auction. We try to do our best to, have front and back photos of individual cards that are in that, $15 to $50 price range or more. Buy raw cards, send them off to grade. It doesn't need to be a high grade card to make money grading it.
Right.
I grade BGS 4s and 5s and 3s that are, Venusaurs and Blastoises and Charizards. You can make money, and it makes sense to do it. And it's very fun to sit there and wait and every morning have something to check on. So
Mail day is fun, and having just big stacks of slabs, like just stacks. I love it. So I totally get it. But when it comes to getting raw cards graded, do you think every card is worth getting graded, or just the vintage or first edition or unlimited? How are your guys' feelings on that?
every card that's mint, that its PSA 10 value is $30 or more. I is what I do for the cheaper stuff. And then if it's 20 a $20 or more card, $20 or more card raw, it's almost always worth grading. It's just where do you grade it and how do you grade it?
Mm-hmm.
We use PSA, BGS, CGC, GMA, and a small company in California called BSG. Okay, so we use 5 different grading companies. We send multiple packages to each one every week. So we're getting stuff back from different places. So it's kind of, we have the luxury of being able to choose what condition it's in to send to which company. It's much harder to get a BGS 9.5 than a PSA 10. I'm sorry to tell these people that it's much harder to get a BGS 9.5 than a PSA 10, but it's much easier to get a BGS 8 than a PSA 8. And a CGC 9.5 is impossible to get. We write it off. We don't expect to get any. And when we get, 5% of them as BGS 9.5s, we're happy. Or CGC, sorry, 9.5s. We're happy with that. So it's knowing and learning the market and which company is going to give you which grade and how much you can pay to get it graded. If you had a first edition Charizard in mint condition, and let's say you were going to say declared value is $50,000, right? 9 price, you're going to say, well, it would cost you $5,000 to get that graded at PSA. It would cost you $125 to get it graded at BGS. Which one are you going to choose? It's a hard thing to look at. One's much cheaper.
Yeah, you can once COVID is over and they lift their restrictions, you can fly to Dallas, get a hotel room, stay there, walk it in, then wait 3 days, have some great food, have a good hotel experience, go pick up your card, and still be into it for a third of the price that it would cost you to wait 8 months sending it to PSA. So there's definitely advantages. There's definitely advantages to every company. For me, like we've CGC just started this was it July, I think. Just started grading, and they by far have the best standards, I think, of what they're doing with the cards. I mean, their grading is spot on. They don't miss anything. Their labels I've never seen a mistake in label with them. Where PSA and BGS, they'll mess up on the labels and mislabel something once in a while. You need to send it back. But I've never seen a mistake with CGC. So I'm a big fan of them right now. And they're new to this, but they've been doing comic books forever, so they do have some history with grading. Yeah, so they're doing great with trading cards, and they're coming up. They're doing sports cards soon, is the rumor. So they've hired a guy from PSA as their leader for that. So that's gonna be a really good avenue for cards. If they grade those sports cards as hard as they grade trading cards, I probably can't send them anything because they are tough on the Pokemon.
Mm-hmm. I might have to sign up for CGC because Beckett and PSA don't have any open tiers. I think PSA actually only has the basic tier open right now when it comes to their memberships, and it just makes me so sad because I'm like, damn it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to get to the point where I am going to start sending in bulk. So I might, well, no, sending many cards to get graded. So I might as well just get a membership. I mean, I'm going to like it. I'm going to appreciate the value in it and having it, and then the access to all that data. But
One of the things too that's nice about PSA, there's good things about all of them, but what's nice about PSA is they don't charge you for the grading until basically they're about to send it back to you. You know, where Beckett and CGC, they charge you as soon as they receive it and process it into their system. You get charged up front. Where at PSA, you get it back 5 days later. You know, so it can sit. That's where I call PSA our savings account. We haven't paid for any of those 15,000 cards that are sitting there, you know, at all, other than the shipping to get it there.
right.
But we haven't paid any of the grading fees. And when they do charge us, oh man, it's an exciting day because that means we know we're going to get some kind of a box from Newport Beach, and it's going to be great. It's going to be filled with PSA slabs. And, you know, based on the stuff that we graded, sometimes it's going to be, you know, 150 dugongs, but at least, you know, at least we have them back. So,
Exactly.
but it's still a lot of fun. But what's nice, yeah, like I said about them is they don't charge you up front. So as long as you have, you know, the money later, you're going to be able to sell a portion of whatever you get back and pay for all the grading.
Right, right, 100%. And you say this 8-month waiting period that, like, it hurts my heart because it just takes so long. But you know, it just kind of, it is what it is. I don't know if this is a rumor, and I know a few folks that have particular feelings on it, but a rumor about PSA modernizing their setup in the sense that they've kind of are trying to automate their grading. I don't know where that came from. I find that to be interesting, though. I know some people are, you know, they don't like the idea of that because they think they rig the system, because once you can replicate that, you know, once you can replicate that automated system, it's not going to be good. But
PSA is interesting because it's a publicly traded company. So they actually do, they have quarterly meetings that they have to post audio on investor sites. So those are really interesting for me, is just because they talk about a lot of the innovation they're looking to do. And they've mentioned stuff about, like, you know, automating some of the stuff like centering in corners and stuff where a computer could analyze it. But at the end of the day, it's still going to be a real person doing it. And at the end of the day, a lot of the problem is still, you know, they're receiving way more packages than they could ever possibly hope to grade in a day. You know, so, you know, in the last quarterly report I listened to was in August. They actually have another one, I think, coming up next Friday, if I'm not mistaken.
Ooh.
But it's sometime within the next week or two. They were 2 million cards behind in August, and it's only increased. And, you know, a regular person, a regular grader, they can only grade, you know, 700 to 1,000 cards a day.
right.
You know, so they're grading things that they received back in March and April right now. So you're hoping that, like, you know, the package that we got back, actually, we sent in June, and they only checked it in August. It was this fluky one, or they must have just pulled it off the shelf and graded it. But, you know, other than us getting just dirt lucky with getting that package back, you know, it's going to take a while on the PSA, but for me, it's worth it. The patience, the waiting time is worth it. It's going to be a great savings account for when we get it back. We have some really cool stuff that we sent out that we wish we had sent to BGS at this point, you know, because, like, we would have had it back, we would have sold it. But at the same time, the prices have gone up so much that, you know, we're happy that it's been sitting there, because we would have sold it by now anyway. So at least now we have it for a while.
Oh, now everything's forcing you to kind of sit on stuff. So
Exactly.
Oh, dang it went up in price. Gosh darn.
I know. As long as it doesn't go down too much, we're okay.
It may be possible that there's more stuff at grading in the overall market than there is available for sale. Like, there may be, I mean, PSA might be sitting on $1 billion worth of Pokemon.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, it just very well, there's gonna be a lot of cool stuff coming back. You know, watch those population reports. They're going to grow, but the demand has grown beyond what, you know, there's more than one person that wants, you know, there's 60, you know, first edition fossil magnetons, you know, PSA 10. The demand is, you know, 1,000 times higher than that. So we're fine if the populations grow. You know, Zion Williamson had, you know, 100,000 of his cards were graded in his rookie year between all the different companies and the different cards he had. 100,000 of them. And that's just one player in the NBA, and prices, prices in the market overall for basketball kind of dipped the last couple months when the season ended. But overwhelmingly, there is plenty of demand for these items. I don't think Pokemon's any different. I think people, I'm not opposed to owning 10 of the same card in the same grade. And that's where everybody's like, well, supply and demand. It's like, well, look at Gary from Pawn Stars. The guy owns that many himself, and he doesn't have a want to sell them to anybody else. So when you have a card that maybe will double or triple in population, I think there's going to be an individual. You see these guys that only collect Dragonite, only collect Charizard, only collect Charmander, War Turtle, Blastoise, whatever it is. There's going to be a guy that will be sit there, and if he thinks he's getting a discount, maybe 80% or 90% of retail price, he's going to just buy them all and sit on them. So I don't see this worry where people are worried about, hey, there's going to be this influx of stuff coming back from PSA that's going to drive the prices down, because the demand is just absolutely so much higher than that supply.
Right. And so when I get a notification on my phone that there's been like 1,000 more, eBay listings for PSA Pokemon, I know it's going to be y'all. So I'll get that notification. And I will know that you guys got your haul back.
all ours are auctions. So we start everything on eBay at 99 cents, and we start everything on our auction at $1. So if you're going to buy it from us, you're going to get it for market rate. So,
hell yeah.
Whether on eBay or goingtwice.com, either one.
So then what are your guys' thoughts on reserve prices? Because I don't see it much with Pokemon, but I see it a lot in the sports card world. Are you for or against reserve prices?
I hate it. It's the worst. It's not good for the buyer. It's not good for the seller. Most what happens is it just doesn't hit the reserve, or it just barely hits the reserve, and where it would have went for more overall. I just bid on a Pokemon item. I don't want to put everybody onto what I'm bidding on here. I just bid on an item, $500 that has a reserve that we haven't hit. Mm-hmm. It says reserve not met. I bid $500. I bid way more. I bid double that.
Wow.
But it's a very niche item that it might not hit the reserve, but I'm willing to pay the guy a lot of money for the item, but it just might not get the attention because it's a very obscure item. Mm-hmm. So I think reserves are kind of just silly. Whereas if you would have just started it at, if you just started at 99 cents, tons of people would have thought, ooh, nobody's going to be paying attention. They would have 300, 400, 500 watchers.
There's
and then
the
it
deal.
goes for market value, people are always looking for that deal, and that gets them maybe overexcited and they bid more because they don't think anybody's watching, when in reality things get found. Usually.
Everybody's watching.
Yeah, everybody's watching. So I think the item has 43 watchers right now, and I don't anticipate it hitting whatever reserve the guy had on it. And it just frustrates me because if he would have just did a starting price maybe at what he wanted, I would have bid that, or if he would just started at 99 cents, I still would have kept my number at the exact same number. Or if he would have done a buy it now, I would have sent him an offer. But at the end of the day, doing a reserve, I think, doesn't benefit you as a seller. Certainly doesn't benefit the buyers. I think eBay should get rid of it. I think auction should be 99 cents plus shipping, 99 cents plus
That's
shipping
fair.
for auctions. And then, or buy it now. No in between. The number of sales would increase for eBay. The number of people that are buying on eBay. Could you imagine if every auction was a 99 cent start, how often you would be bidding on auctions on eBay? It would be so fun for everybody. So there's a couple changes that need to be made there. eBay needs to get rid of the reserve feature. Any auction company that sets reserves, I can't speak to them on why they're doing it. I don't think they should be doing it. You'll never see on our website, you'll never see an item that says like sold subject to approval or anything like that. What it sells for is what we'll sell it for. 100% of the time. We've had a few instances where a seller, wasn't happy with the price. We kind of show them the contract and what they signed. We're certainly, we do whatever we can to make people happy. There's been instances where we come out of our own pocket because something did go for way too low, for whatever reason. That's why people sign on to the auction, is to get a good deal. So we always try to make the seller and the buyer happy. And same thing is if you missed a nick on a card that we photographed, we say yes to 99.9% of returns on our auction, but we will tell you like, hey, please pay closer attention because it's a kink in our system. We want you to pay attention. Bid according to what you see, not what you think something's going to be.
Right.
I would say if you're looking to sign on to our auctions, bid according to what you know it is. Assume the worst, and you're going to be pleasantly surprised almost always. We try to do great photos. We try to do front and back of things that matter. Pay attention as a bidder. Same thing when you're on eBay. Don't buy this lot and then return it because everything wasn't near mint when the guy never said it wasn't near mint.
Right. Right.
So.
I mean, if the seller is being transparent, photographing all the nicks, any creases, the warp, any of it, scratches on the hollow, you can't. I mean, that's responsibility on the seller. That's his responsibility. So you can't really fault him if you didn't notice. But that's really cool that you guys honor 99.9% of your returns. What's the 0.1%?
Is like when the person is trying to scam the system. They
Yeah.
buy an item. They we always tell people buyer's remorse is not in our return policy.
No.
That's why we run an auction company is because 95% of the items people got for a good deal. The other 5% people paid full market price, or maybe we did really well on an item. That's what balances it out. If I don't have that balance of people getting excited and maybe overbidding, that's their choice to do. They really want the item. There's very few of them in the world. That balance is what makes it worth it to us. If we don't, I can't just say, the guy just regrets buying it. That's not a proper return. At least make something. At least lie to me a little bit. Don't just say I feel like I overspent. But we trust me. We've accepted plenty of those returns too. We're a small operation here. If you call us Monday through Friday, anybody that's listening, you call us and have questions about condition on something, we're happy to answer. If you get something in the mail, something's wrong, we're happy to make it right. As an auctioneer, trust me, I've had plenty of people, come in mad and they leave happy. That's really, they feel like they got screwed over and we make it right. And I've had, same thing. We've had people, just like any other company, somebody say something bad about you online. But when they actually reached out to us, whether that was somebody on a Google review or somebody on a Reddit stream or whatever it is that they had a problem with us, as soon as they actually reached out to us, they all left happy. I can 100% say that nobody feels robbed from us in any way. And if they do, they haven't reached out to us. And we want them to reach out to us because we want as many customers on there as possible. We just want people to be happy. I mean, there's a lot of greed in the auction industry. There's a lot of greed in collectibles, and we just try not to be one of those people. We feel like we make our fair share, and if you felt like you were done wrong, let's make it right.
Yeah, I really, really like that. Like what we've always talked about is, you guys just try to do the right thing and try to make people happy. So, I mean, I think that's really great on y'all's part to do that. And that's really cool too, to hear that you guys, if someone's mad, you've actually paid the difference of the market value versus what the auction actually came at, that final auction price. So I think.
Well,
awesome.
and to kind of hedge that a little, that's usually if something happens that's our fault.
Oh, gotcha.
Like if something just doesn't sell for the amount they thought it should sell for, that's not going to be a reason. But like if it didn't sell for very well because we had a bad photo or we didn't spread the items out enough, something where it was our fault, that's the kind of situation where we're going to help a consignor out. That's where we used to we've kind of grown as a company. We used to employ a lot of 18, 19-year-old kids. Now everybody works for us as an adult. So we have great, we have a quality photo takers now. We have an expert packer. We try to make all this stuff get out there safely. We try to make sure that everything's on the up and up. Everybody sees what they're going to get and knows they're going to get a real good item from us.
That is very, very cool. Yeah, I'm glad you put in that caveat because that makes sense. Like if it was on y'all because of something, whatever the reason was, I think you got to make it right. So I think that's really good. As far as getting back a little bit to the grading, because I need to know for myself personally, do you guys do middleman services?
No, I for the last, so all summer long, I was on the road, buying card shop to card shop, sleeping in hotels for basically 3 months straight. That's how we acquired most of these sports cards and trading cards, and that's why we have 20,000 total cards out of grading. Is because we did that. But since then, since August, my entire job has been sleeving, card saver oneing, and sending things off to grading nonstop. And that was my entire job before June as well. May, June, early June. And then Dan obviously does tons and tons of grading as well. And we have one other employee that spends half of his day just sending stuff off to grading. We don't do any middleman services. We don't do it for people, and we don't use any middleman services. I know there's a lot of trustworthy guys that do middleman, send off the stuff for you. But at the end of the day, the number one reason why somebody's not going to trust me is because I graded their cards for them.
Right.
And I don't need money enough to risk ruining those relationships I have with my customers. I have at least one customer come in every day and say, do you guys send in stuff for grading? And I say, we do not, but I'll take a half hour out of my day, and I'll show you how to do it yourself. Anytime you want.
It's also to that is we don't want to disappoint the customers in something that's not in our control.
Right.
We can't control how long PSA or BGS is going to take. We say that PSA is an estimate of 9 months right now, but it could be 2 years. And all of a sudden, that you hit that 9 month mark and you haven't got it back, and you said, hey, it's going to be about 9 months. Well, all of a sudden they are behind, and it's out of our control. And now they don't see PSA; they see you guys didn't send it off in time, and that's why it's taking so long. So we just don't like to disappoint anybody. So, for us, we have plenty to do.
It sounds like it, for sure.
We've considered some things where we'll send off an entire order for someone if they're going to grade it and sell it on our auction. We've considered some stuff like that. We haven't implemented that yet. That's something that's kind of in the works, possibly down the line. For doing collections, we yesterday, a customer of ours who's a comic book buyer came in, and he had been hoarding all his Pokemon cards since '99, and he brought them in, and it was great. That's a situation where we might have done something where we would take all his holos and mail them off and grade, and then we'll sell them on our auction for him. We ended up just buying his collection outright because he was happy, because he just wants to take the money and buy more comic books.
Right.
And then we don't feel the pressure of having to stop what we're doing on our stuff and get his stuff mailed out. We still have, Travis has got, 4 or 5 rows probably of stuff right now lined up that he hasn't even sleeved yet to get out for grading in the next few weeks. So, having to stop all that, it's just easier just to buy his collection, let it sit there until we're at that point, and then get through that and get that out there for grading too. So it's a lot of work. We work a lot, but it's all it's not really work if you enjoy it. I get up every day excited to come in here. It's not like a real job, although I sit and type. I type 8 hours a day every day to build those auctions. Because I don't like anyone else's titles, and so I have to do all the titling myself. If Travis said I don't type the title, I don't like the title. So that's we're very particular about how things are written on there, and so it's just one of those things where right now we work hard and make sure that we're providing good service to everybody, and then make sure that we're enjoying what we're doing. So we're not enjoying what we're doing, and that's kind of why we don't take consignment of just anything. We have to really like the item to take it on consignment. Otherwise, I'd rather just sell my own stuff and have fun with that. And 'cause I like looking at my I have a I like looking at my pile of cards to grade.
Yes.
I rather do that than sit and look through somebody else's Zippo lighter collection. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
I was about to say, you guys are living the dream, really, in all honesty.
Well,
in ways.
I come in between 9 and 10 a.m. and then I leave about 9 p.m. or midnight, somewhere in that window each night. So it's a lot of work, but it's enjoyable work. Some days there's stresses. I probably spent 10 hours on the phone this week with BGS, eBay, and CGC. At least 10 hours with small complaints. I'm kind of that guy that if I'm, we spend probably $5,000 to $10,000 a week with Beckett. I expect the service to be, in par with the amount of money we're spending with them. CGC, couple small complaints, but they've been great. eBay makes, $10,000 a month off of us. definitely think that we should, I shouldn't have any complaints at the end of the day. There's a million reasons why I have to call them over these issues, but those things aren't so fun. But the buying stuff is fun. The grading, getting graded stuff back is fun. Our staff is great. There's nobody here that I don't like. That we've known them all for a really long time. Really tight group. There's no me and Dan. There's no worry about trust between us. We've been doing this a long time together. I just think it's important to surround yourself around people that don't value money in this. There's some people that just value money way too much. At the end of the day, I'm not trying to get one over on anybody. It's just paper. I'm just trading cardboard for paper. So we certainly don't take it too serious, and just try to make everybody happy. So I think that's the biggest thing we want to harp on is that, and we've changed over time. When we first got started, we didn't have necessarily the resources to just like eat a return as easily. It was something where we had to fight it a little bit more. And now it's, if somebody's not happy, just send it on back. We'll make it right. And we have a lot of guys that send it back and they say, just send me something else. They don't even want it, the refund. They just say, we know you guys are good for it. Just send it back. We have a guy he's had a $8,000 credit with us for a return on some of those booster packs that we were talking about before. He bought some really expensive booster packs and we said, hey, we'll give you the refund right now. He said, just keep it on my credit account. And I know you're good for it, but I'm going to try to see if there's something cool to buy first off your auction. That's awesome. Said, sure, no problem. The money's here if you want it.
Yeah. We had a Charizard returned last week because we accidentally left it in a gaming sleeve, so the back wasn't photoed. So it wasn't like the front was really nice, and the back didn't kind of translate. And that was just our error. So we let him return it. He didn't want the money back. He said, "Send me a mystery box of stuff that's worth about the same amount." That's awesome. So we put together an awesome mystery box with like a BGS 9.5 Charizard V and some other stuff. So hopefully he's happy with that. I mean, he's in our state too, which is good. So he had spent $23,000 in one weekend on our auction. He went a little crazy on the. We had a bunch of heavy base set unlimited packs come through from a consignor. He had picked them up on Instagram for $60 a piece. A month ago. So like a month ago, like this is when they were worth $400 or $500 each. He got them for $60 each on Instagram, and they were. He opened the first one. He opened as a sample because I was like, okay, these are going to be resealed. Yeah. He opens one pack and it's a Charizard. It was unbelievable.
Wait, so they weren't resealed?
No, they were.
No, they were totally legit.
I opened like 4 of them.
Yeah, it was crazy.
He did very well on the deal overall. It wasn't his. I mean, he was taking a lot of risk. It was like, hey, I'm giving this guy a lot of money, friends and family. I mean, he spent. He spent like $7,000 on a complete gamble, and it paid off. Very big for him. But,
yeah, very big.
I mean, we paid him, $12,000 just for some packs. Just for the ones that we wanted to open and trade to people because it was fun.
That is so much fun. Gosh.
Yeah.
I don't have balls like that. I don't have I mean, you said it like the number one rule is I guess I made it the number one rule, but like low key, if you're trying to protect yourself as a buyer, if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Well, our friend likes really good deals, so he's willing to take more risks than I am.
The biggest risk I ever took was with somebody that's actually a really good friend of mine now was a jungle first edition box for $8,500 about 3 months ago. And I really trusted the guy. But that was friends and family. But when you're dealing with those kinds of money, it's certainly always scary. But once you've done business with them, that was probably the first real business we did with each other was a $8,500 friends and family first edition jungle box. But now it's sold for $1.2 million.
Yeah,
exactly. We're rich.
My God, that is so crazy.
Yeah, not that it's going to get paid for. I mean, but it has appreciated obviously up to maybe $20,000 at least. So no complaints. He's in the same boat as me that we're in the business of selling stuff. Stuff goes up, stuff goes down. You don't regret it. You just move on to the next. So
right. Right. If you stay too much on something, you're just gonna like probably not do anything because you're just scared. You know, just like indecision, and then you won't go for it when you probably should, you know? So that's crazy. But I mean, okay, so I know we scheduled for like an hour and a half, and I really want to be respectful of y'all's time because obviously you guys are working right now. So
Oh, we're okay. We're fine.
okay.
I want to, yeah, we can finish answering the questions. That's not a problem. So.
I mean, like, you guys have prompted a lot more questions, so just as an aside, all of the questions that I have, I'm not going to ask, but if you guys are open to a part 2, that would be very cool. So,
Yeah,
just
no problem.
nice, awesome. Well, I mean, I guess for like I'll just pull up just like a few more questions just to, you know, be respectful, but the one thing that I wanted to ask, and this kind of goes back to Travis, you used the word niche, you know, finding those like little niche, those little places of arbitrage where, you know, no one's really looking at it. Certain parts of the market that people aren't really looking at, so you can find some arbitrage because you think, you know, it's going to appreciate in value. So I'm just kind of curious, like for people trying to, you know, look in those niches. I know a few people have thrown out like the Meiji sets. The Meiji sets as being something that people aren't paying too much attention to. You know, the 1997 Cardass, Bandai cards, you know, the Japanese cards. I'm just curious, what are your thoughts on those niche sets? Like, do you have some that you guys are kind of looking at right now, or do you think like those Cardass sets are, you know, truly kind of niche in that sense and not being closely looked at? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think those sets in particular are just so simply hard to find that you're buying graded ones. And yes, they are good investments based on the population and the future population. But if you're going to find that stuff raw, I think you're basically in for a trip to Japan. Like, I really do. So I agree that there are tons of money to be made on that stuff. It certainly has room to grow as people get more serious about it, as hedge funds get serious. You know, you got hedge funds that are buying, pooling money together to buy Pokemon cards. So I certainly think those things are good investments. The things that I look at and I say, hey, this is a part of the market that people are missing. Number one is packs. Mm-hmm. And number two is jumbo cards. I think those two things graded in a slab, no matter the set, modern stuff, jumbo cards, box toppers, promo jumbo cards, vintage promo cards, vintage Topps Chrome, you know, they have the square ones. Mm-hmm. And then packs, you know, Evolutions packs, Hidden Fates packs, Champions Path packs. Nobody's sending this stuff off to grade. And it's very cheap to grade. It's very cheap to acquire. And I think it makes for really, really awesome art. Like, I could picture it behind you there, you know, on your shelf. You know, even if you just had one, you know, just one graded Evolutions Charizard pack. Mm-hmm. The pack's worth $15. It costs $20 to grade. That's $35. If you were at a flea market and you saw a PSA 10 graded Charizard pack for $100, would you even bat an eye on it? Or you just buy it because you think it's cool?
100. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think, and then same with the jumbo cards. In a literal sense, they are art. They're closer to that 8x10 kind of framed art. So if you get stuff like that graded, or even if you just frame it, I think that people are kind of missing the ball on those just because they're not the traditional things that people have collected. I know I have some really crazy friends that have like legendary collection, PSA 10 box topper, you know, sets that are worth, you know, $100,000 or whatever it is.
Yes, that's
I'm not
awesome.
necessarily talking about that stuff. I'm talking about the stuff that right now you literally, I mean, most people throw away or just stuff away their jumbo cards. The packs, they don't even think, you know, they open a booster box. If you just, every booster box, you pulled out one pack and sent off a grading order every 3 months, you'd have these really cool pieces of artwork. And I really don't see anybody looking at this. I don't think, I mean, if you go look up Evolution PSA 10 booster pack, if there are any, there's one. And there should be hundreds because It's an iconic set. People love it. The artwork on the packs is nostalgic. I think if you start looking at cards as art, in terms of things like that, what do people want to have in their man caves? What do people want to have in their bedrooms? I think that's a great little niche for people. I don't think me saying this is going to flood the market by any means. I can tell 100 people to grade their packs, we grade packs of sets that nobody else is grading, population 1 type of stuff. And still people won't do it because they're too eager to open it. Or it's too hard to send off the jumbo cards. But if I was going to recommend anything that was guaranteed profit, it'd be that. You would not lose money. There's no way to lose money grading a $2 pack of anything for $20. You're into $22 plus shipping, maybe $25 a pack for Champion's Path, or maybe a cheaper set. Darkness Ablaze has a Charizard art pack. You're into $25. How can you lose money there?
Oh, right.
It's going to be an awesome piece of art.
Yeah, 100%. You guys are kind of like these guys right here. It's Weatherlight and Exodus from Magic. I don't know if you can see. You guys make me want to get them graded. Like, after talking to you guys, I want to get all of these graded. Well, not the Leia, but I've got this guy right here, this Cristiano Ronaldo that I saw.
That's a good card.
The story behind this, like a year and a half ago or so, I bought a whole lot of Cristiano Ronaldo cards. It cost me like $10. That was one of those cards in there. So I pretty much paid $2 for that card.
What set is that from?
This is the it's printed by UK Traditions. It just says Football World Stars.
He's looking it up now.
Hell yeah.
I am.
So this PSA 10, yeah, if this gets graded as a PSA 10, I saw something, it was like the prices were kind of ranging a little bit, but definitely over 1,000. I don't think more than 2,000.
One sold yesterday for $14.58. That's
Anyways.
crazy for $2. That's a great find.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of margins I like.
See, now that's the hunt. I can relate to you guys trying to like hunt for the thing and find it. Like, Travis, when you're saying you were traveling around 3 months to find some good stuff, I remember when I first really got into collectibles and realizing that they were an investment, like an asset class. I was on this Facebook group for comic books, and this guy was, just coming up with really, really great stuff. And I was just asking him, like, how do you find this stuff? And literally he'd do what you do, Travis. He just travel around, like, go to people's basements all over the US and find those collections where, you're charging however much because it's mostly bulk. And, I mean, we're talking like probably 10, 15,000 for some collections, right? But in 1 year, he was making something like 85,000 from doing just all that. And so if you really like to hunt and you got the time to do that, I mean, that's a part of your job and what you do, but like to find those things, that's the work, right?
Yeah, it's the fun though. I think overwhelmingly the biggest stress in my life is I want people, there's a lot of money in this. Pay your taxes. Do not, everybody, we had to drive to San Francisco last week with, what did we spend? We spent $80,000. I had to bring $80,000 in cash to San Francisco, which is a 13-hour drive. So I had to get all the cash out of my bank here,
over 2 days.
Over 2 days. And I had to drive 13 hours each way. We did it all in 26 hours. We went straight there and straight back, me and Dan, to buy Pokemon cards, $80,000 worth of Pokemon cards. My biggest desire is for, we just pay our taxes. I don't think that this whole people that are like, oh, I need friends and family because the IRS won't see it, doesn't really make any sense. The IRS can see whatever they want. Your friends and family is not saving you. Okay, just because PayPal doesn't send you tax paperwork does not mean that it's not being seen. I think that you'll live a much more stress-free life if you just pay them their share. That's like my biggest thing. We live stress-free because there's nobody that can take anything from us because we pay it as we go. Whereas if these guys that I'm giving $75,000 to in cash, $100,000 to in cash for Pokemon or basketball cards or baseball cards, whatever it is, they're living with stress. Even though they feel like they made an extra 25% or 28%, at the end of the day, that stress isn't worth it. I know everybody that's listening disagrees with me. I don't want to give the government any of my collectibles money, but just it's such a less stress than knowing you took something that wasn't yours.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's funny.
When we give a guy $80,000, we type his name into our QuickBooks.
You're
So if
reporting
they ever
that.
come and say, yeah, we report everything. So, if when they come and ask, I mean, his name's not. We're not going to go turn things into the IRS and say, hey, we give this guy 80,000 cash. But if they ever put it all together, we have all the information.
Mm-hmm.
Because we want to do it right, because there's plenty of money in this, and that it's kind of the what you pay to live in the United States. I mean, you pay your taxes when you make a big transaction or make a big sale. Like, that's just part of the game. If you don't want to do that, go be a mercenary and find your own island. But for now, that's not really
Yeah.
available. So you just gotta kind of pay your dues, pay your taxes, and that will keep you.
Cashier's checks are the future of collectibles.
Yes.
Everybody needs to start. The transactions would happen more frequently. There'd be new record prices if people were just willing, because you get to write off your costs. If everybody did it right, nobody would pay a lot in taxes. It's the couple of people that hide the money that are causing the other people to have to hide what they spent. So yeah, I know it's a little off subject, but I'm tired of driving around the country with, duffel bags of money to buy Pokemon cards.
Gosh, I cannot imagine walking around or driving around with 80,000 in cash just sitting there, being like probably a little worried, keeping it in the trunk so no one can see it.
Yeah, no, I unload every item that's in my all summer. Every item that was in my truck got unloaded every day into the hotel. It was about an hour process to unload and load every day. Just all the assets, all the money. Doing our best to be, smart and not let anything bad happen to us.
Right. Yeah, you gotta. Yeah, I would do the same thing. There's no freaking way I'm leaving that in my car.
Exactly.
No way.
Not
But
some of the dumps that Travis is willing to stay in. When I go on the road, we stay in the nicer places. But when it was just Travis, he doesn't care where he stays, so he'll stay at the Motel 6 or
Motel 6,
whatever hotel.
Number one.
oh man, do they give out reward points? They got you.
They probably do. But to me, like that's camping. Like, I'm not going to stay in a Motel 6. So,
I like it.
We're gonna stay. Holiday Inn Express is like my bottom, and then we go from there. I'm an old man. I mean, I'm 39 years old.
I gotta trust
I'm not gonna
the
stay in a
sheets.
Motel 6
I don't
anymore.
know. Ugh.
Yeah.
I've slept on top of the sheets a time or two. There's been some bad ones.
Oh man, you know what though? I don't know. Okay, well, respect, but also like I don't know if I would do the same thing, but respect to the hustle. Respect.
Yes.
Gotta go save that $40.
Yes.
Which could go to, another Pokemon card. Like
That's
that for sure. That's 20 near mint Charmanders.
There we go.
oh my gosh. Well then like this is obviously just a question for myself because I want to know, but I'm sure other people would probably want to know as well. So you guys have convinced me. I've got a whole bunch of cards then that now I'm probably going to get graded. Packs that I'm probably going to get graded. So for me, what should I be doing to get everything together? Because I did at only one time get something graded PSA. That was just me and them direct PSA. Everything else I had done through a middleman. I would go through him, but he's all the way in Korea, so it's like the shipping doesn't quite make sense. He got stationed out there. I had him on the podcast once.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So what do I do? Do I do what you guys do and kind of figure out, okay, this card, like grade your card, kind of look at what I think it could get graded for, and then kind of figure out who I want to send it to, or do I just make it easy and just send it to one place like BGS or CGC because they're a little shorter?
At the end of the day, okay, so just decide if you're one of two people. If you believe in the market and you think overwhelmingly it'll at least be the same, if not more, in a year from now. Okay, if you believe that, you're going to go this route. And if you believe that there's risk, send all your stuff to BGS and CGC, and you'll actually get it back within a somewhat timely matter. Okay, So if you're that person, that's your only options. Okay, but if you truly believe that that reasonably it's going to be the same, if not more, a year from now, Send your mintiest stuff to PSA, your second mintiest stuff to BGS, and then kind of maybe fill in some modern stuff to CGC just because it's fun to have more stuff coming in. That's really the bulk of what we do. If we on stuff we trust, the mintiest stuff to PSA, second, one or two dings to Beckett, and then CGC just gets stuff when we have just simply too much already going to PSA and Beckett. And then you send them for the cheapest tier you're comfortable with. The long-standing tradition was you could send everything bulk. You could send $20,000 cards bulk and just say declared value less. I don't know if that's changed at PSA, where you have to send a $50,000 card and pay the $5,000. I just don't know, because there's too much stuff that we've sent off that was worth $100 that's now worth $1,000. I don't know if they're going to charge us more because it crossed that threshold. We typically just say every card's declared value of what we paid for it, which typically it falls into bulk. So you sign up, you take that, you're talking about tier memberships. That bottom tier membership at PSA still gives you the discount, every discount at PSA that I get. You just don't get the free coupons.
Right, those free vouchers.
Those free 15 vouchers. That's the only difference, and they're not giving those to us anymore
anybody.
Yeah. So everybody will be moving down to the same tier. So I'd say, if you sign up for PSA, you send it direct to them. You only need to send 20 cards now to get bulk. So you send those 20 cards bulk. Beckett, you need to put together 100 cards, and CGC, you need to put together 50 cards. CGC and PSA both have paid memberships. With CGC, if you're going to send them a lot of stuff, pay for the highest tier membership. It'll save you money in the long run. PSA, buy the cheapest membership because it's not saving you any extra money anyways. And then Beckett's no membership fee at all. And that's kind of how we break it down. Order a lot of soft sleeves, order a lot of Card Saver ones right when they come out. I mean, Card Saver 1 got their shipment into Columbia Hobby in our state, which is basically where they all come from for the whole country for Card Saver 1 specifically. I know Ultra Pro has theirs too. Just the other day, we bought 26,000 of them. We spent $5,000 on Card Saver 1s because we knew we'll run out before we can get more again.
Right.
So to kind of have that stuff in stock to send off. But that's basically where I start. The nicest stuff PSA, second nicest stuff Beckett, and then send, pick out of every pile a little bit to send to CGC just to get a little taste of how they're doing. And they're ahead of schedule. CGC says they take a month. It takes 3 weeks right now.
Oh,
Beckett, 2 and 5 days on time. Everything else is taking 10 times as long as what it says. So if it said 60 days, it might be, 6 months. PSA, they kind of are telling you how long it takes, but nobody's proven that to me yet. They say 9 months, but like I said, there's new stuff being added every day. It could be 2 years by the time you get your stuff there.
Wow.
I'm not saying that's for sure, but I'm saying that's if they're 2 million cards behind and more people are still sending, they're going to be 2.5 million by the end of this quarter and then 3 million next quarter. So
it's going to add up.
They are working 3 shifts there now, though. So they are working middle of the night. That's the one order we got was a middle of the night order. So we were I woke up because I was like, what happened to our business account? It's down by $3,800. I look and said PSA card, Newport Beach. So we signed on, and we called each other at like 2:30 in the morning and went through all these grades. We were just so excited. So
that is
because we thought, oh, this is gonna start the floodgates. We're gonna get all our orders back. We haven't had an inkling, and that was a month and a half ago. We haven't had a single sniff of another order since. So. It was just kind of a fluke. I know. Just a little teaser from them. Thanks a lot, PSA.
Something to hold you over for the rest of the wait. That's going to be so awesome. When it comes, it's going to hit really, really nice. So then question for PAX. Me personally, I've never tried. I probably should do some more research on this, I think. I've never really graded a pack. I've only had one pack ever, and I wish I hadn't sold it. But obviously, lesson learned. It's still good. I still came out winning. But when it comes to packs, A, how do you kind of go about grading those before you send them in? And then B, your rule about if it's minty, go with PSA. If it's not, BGS. Is there a rule that kind of supersedes that rule when it comes to packs?
Well, with packs, PSA is the only one grading them right now.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
You're gonna send it to PSA. There's no faster way to send it. So it's like it's $20. There's no like I can send it fast if it's a first edition pack and get it back sooner or anything like that. So basically, it just comes down to how nice does it look? Its appears, there any scratches, stuff like that. Just kind of overlook it. I've never seen a pack graded, but if somebody sent it there, it's an 8, 9, or 10. 99% of the time, that's basically all of them are 8, 9s, and 10s.
I never seen anything lower than an 8 that's not vintage.
Yeah. My friend swears by it that he gets 10s on everything regardless.
I've seen so many 10s.
Yeah. And I think that's just because they're being fair. If you open a booster box and it's a minty pack, just send it to them. We put it in a graded card bag, and we put a Card Saver 1 on each side, and then we put that with the other packs in the box that Card Saver 1s come in, and we send about 50 of them at a time.
Ooh, that's fun. So then when it comes to sending the cards, you said you guys use Card Savers. You don't use top loaders when you ship it out to them?
No,
you prefer the
PSA requests specifically that it's in a Card Saver 1 or Ultra Pro rigid card sleeve. And that's where like these middlemen come in handy. If you don't have the time or the want to soft sleeve and Card Saver 1 your own stuff, I know some of those guys do that for you, but that's not just like we want to do it, it's a requirement. CGC is a little more flexible on it. Beckett, if you're doing a hand drop off, is more flexible with it. But other than that, it has to be done that way. Like PSA will just ship it back to you.
Okay. That's good to know.
They simply require it, unless it's a pack, obviously it can't be in a Card Saver 1. But if you're sending cards in, using a Card Saver 1 or a rigid card holder, whatever Ultra Pro calls it, it's required basically.
Yeah, they don't want something to come back. They don't want damage in the shipping process, I'm sure, because then people are going to blame them.
Yeah, you're going to blame them at the end of the day. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and considering the fact that you said that PSA is a publicly traded company, it sounds like we should probably also buy stock for PSA.
So back in March, I considered it. It was at like $16 or $17 a share because all the shares went down. It's over 60 now, so you would have been at 4 times your money. They quarter after quarter are reporting their highest quarter of sales ever.
Right.
And they're kicking out the most grades they've ever done. It's just that the demand is just so high for their service that they can't keep up. And the problem is like guys who would be qualified to grade are like me and Travis. We don't want to work for them because we rather do our own thing. So like the guys who are qualified to do this are all out doing our own thing. So they can't find the talent they need to do enough grading at a fast speed to get it done. So they're just kind of relying on what they got, and so they're doing it as fast as they can, I'm sure, and they're working hard and they're trying to improve their processes. But at the end of the day, it's one of those things where if there's just too much work to do, some stuff's going to get pushed to the back burner, and that's going to be the stuff that's sent bulk. And that's the stuff that they're going to grade last.
Right.
So it is what it is. It's the market we do. It's the market we're in. So that's kind of how we got to go forward, just based on that feeling that like PSA, you're not really going to ever get your stuff. If you just think you're never going to get it, that's probably the safest play, because then you'll be surprised one day. Yeah. Exactly.
That's awesome. So then do you guys have any tips on people kind of grading their stuff for the first time?
I think a lot of people send their stuff to PSA thinking, well, it's pretty nice. And then they get a 6-back, they get a 5-back, they get a 4-back. Pretty nice does not cut it for PSA.
Right.
If it's pretty nice, send it to Beckett. Because Beckett grades a trading card based on it was something that was supposed to be played with. So, like, if you see Magic graded cards, like a 6 or a 7 is like a card that was played with.
Right.
It's in good shape for something that was meant to be played with. Whereas sports cards, they grade based on it was never meant to be played with. It was meant to be collected. It's like there's a grain of salt. I don't want to say that they're easy on the grading, because they're not. They're grading because it's a trading card. It was something that was meant to be put in your deck and played with. So they're grading on a curve in that sense. So if it looks nice but it's not perfect, I wouldn't send it to PSA. That's my biggest recommendation. CGC probably is even, they're hard, but I'm guessing it'd be pretty hard to get down into the 1, 2s, 3s, and 4s from CGC or Beckett. A card has to have some severe damage to get down into those low grades because they're trading card grading companies, whereas PSA is a sports card authentication service grading Pokemon cards. Beckett and CGC do, I would say, as much, if not more, between the two of them trading cards than they do sports cards. So it's kind of that balance of who's looking at your cards. If it has any damage at all, a nick, a scratch in the foil, I wouldn't send it to PSA. I'd send it to those other companies.
To BGS or CGC.
Yeah, BGS or CGC or there. Like I said, there's other companies we use, GMAs, BSG. There, you can reach out to smaller companies that'll do it. That are, if you just want to encapsulate it and you're going to keep it, who cares what the label says? It's just trying to secure your piece of art. So
yeah, in that regard too, GMA is really underappreciated. I think they're doing they had such a bad reputation from sports cards from 10 years ago when basically they were people thought they were just slapping 10s on everything. Well, they've definitely, since the market's changed here earlier this year, they're trying their best to grade the cards. Like we send in these cards now, and their grading is tough, if not tougher than Beckett. So you're going to get a legitimately graded card if you send it to GMA, and for the price, like you're at the $8 a card range for grading. And they're returning to you at a pretty fast pace. Like that price point's just so good if you're just wanting to keep it yourself. And those hold value too on eBay. I mean, they're the cards usually speak for themselves. And so, like, if you have a good card, it doesn't really matter who it's graded by. It's all the cheaper stuff that that's where, like, you get the Charmanders going from $4 to $400,
right?
Where GMA it might be $40, like it's 10 times the price for the same grade. But for the stuff you're going to keep or the stuff where the card speaks for itself, I think they're a great option.
And when I was on your proxy and kind of just looking at your listings and what you guys had a whole collection of some GMA, I think they were 9s possibly. Yeah. And as far as the pricing goes, I mean, I know, the auctions weren't over at the time, and I didn't specifically itemize each one and look at the values and compare it to a PSA, but the values for those cards still seemed pretty reasonable, or at least it was going to go to kind of match a little bit the market for those. I know there's some people, I guess maybe in the comic book world, there's some people that think there's a premium on one over the other. So the CBCS, I think, is what it's called.
Yeah, CBCS.
Yeah, versus the CGC. Some people think there's a little bit of premium on one over the other, but haven't really seen that to be the case, at least for PSA versus Beckett.
Yeah.
So
when this all started, when the Pokemon craze started, because I'm not a card guy my whole life. I didn't collect cards. Dan got me into cards. When this stuff started going crazy, there was almost the population for first edition holos was so low from Beckett. I looked at it and I talked to Dan, and Dan's a sports card guy and he's a card guy. So he said, no, nobody grades this stuff through Beckett. Don't grade it through Beckett. That's just the history of markets. You know what I mean? Is they just, people say, well, that's not how it's been done. And so I said, I kind of had been listening to some guys and not necessarily guys that I listen to every day, but, when a bunch of new people jump into something, the old rules no longer apply. Right. So whereas PSA was the go-to, new people are going to say, well, I can save 10%, 5% by buying from this other company. It's the same card and it's slabbed and it's certified and it's guaranteed. And they look past that. What silliness of PSAs up here, let's only buy from PSA. That doesn't make any sense. People are now looking at, let's just get the best deal. So I think that's where, I think once we started selling our higher graded Beckett stuff with PWCC, people saw that it was bringing the same price, like you just said. And then they said, well, I'm just going to send my stuff 2-day to Beckett and get it graded instead of sending it to PSA, paying 3, 4, 5 times the price and waiting 3 or 4 weeks before it gets checked in and then still waiting the time it takes to get graded. So it kind of set that. I don't know if we necessarily set that in motion, but I think people like us set that in motion where we proved Beckett is it's never going to bring the same price as PSA, but for how much less time and less money it costs, it's an optimal option for cards that are worth $1,000 plus. I think overwhelmingly any cards that are being graded for now and the end of time, the cards that are $1,000 plus, 80-90% of them are going to go to Beckett because they're cheaper for the high end stuff. They're faster, guaranteed turnaround. Like if you send it in 2 days at PSA, it's going to take 3 weeks plus 2 days. If you send it to Beckett, it's going to take 2 days plus 2 days. It's going to take 4 days or a month. And then so the stress of sending a $25,000 card and it being gone for a month, or like what Leon Hart dealt with, where it just gets lost because you're sending it. You have to send it USPS if you're going to send a PSA. They only accept that. There's just so many different reasons that Beckett's taking a big part of that market. And I think they're good reasons. I think it's because things Beckett's doing right, not things that PSA is doing wrong, if that makes sense. I think Beckett overwhelmingly is doing more things right than they were before, and so they're getting more customers.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. And now that I think about it, I've never seen a graded Black Lotus not be BGS.
Right. Magic is almost exclusively Beckett. PSA has tried to break into the market, but I don't even have a PSA Magic pile. Like it just doesn't happen. Some of the stuff I would do would be like if I had collector's edition where it's square cut cards, but like Beckett is just so much better on the grading cards. Like they actually know what it is, and they do a good job. I mean, they do a great job. So. We stumbled into some Black Lotuses in 2019, and we sent them all off. We had a guy, a friend of ours, bought a storage unit, and there were 4 of them in there, 2 unlimited and 2 the collector's edition ones, and we gave him, he bought the storage unit for $500, and we ended up buying just the Magic cards for I think 27 or 28,000. That was the biggest deal we had done at that time. Ever as it Travis and I's history, but we did a lot of research and we realized that no one was grading Magic with PSA, and so we exclusively grade that stuff now with Beckett.
So then, what's your Magic collection looking like now?
Our current Magic collection, we don't really have that much cool stuff. I mean, we picked up a small collection. The other day where I graded a bunch of stuff with Beckett, a couple of drops of honey from Arabian Nights. That's the kind of stuff we're looking for, and I think that's stuff that's really undervalued. Yeah, reserve list type stuff. We sold our 8.5 Lotus for 26,000 earlier this year, so that was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
But the thing I never see beta dual lands. All these collections I've bought, I've bought beta Moxes, beta Black Lotuses. You just don't see the beta dual lands, so I don't know where they are. I think it's a card that's like hoarded by somebody. That people are hoarding them, and they just don't ever come on the market. So that's one of those cards where I'd love to get my hands on some beta dual lands, because I love the dual lands. I think that I grew up, I played it because I'm so Wizards of the Coast is basically located in our area. So Magic was huge here when I was growing up. So when I moved to Washington State from Minnesota when I was in 8th grade, so that was in 1994, a year after Magic started, basically. So I remember buying revised packs, for $2-3 and cracking them out. So I was right in that range, right in that age range where we had all that stuff. We saw beta Black Lotuses for $300, and I was like, "Holy cow, $300 for a Magic card? Who would ever think to buy that? They're crazy." Man. So
you guys are crazy. Yeah.
Exactly.
Well,
but for Magic, we just don't have a lot of it around right now. We try to get it, but the problem is like it's kind of all been absorbed in collections. So there's not like this, like with Pokemon, where a guy just bought it all and sat on it and didn't do anything with it. There's not a lot of that in Magic. I mean, you find those deals occasionally, but like they're so few and far between.
This summer, when I was going to these shops this summer, I'd go into these comic shops or card shops or trade, gaming stores, whatever you want to call them. There's just tons of different places we stopped. I'd go in there and I'd say, what do you want for your whole display case of Pokemon, right? and then they would say, $1,800, and there's a couple Charizards in there. There's a couple,
Nice.
maybe first edition card or two, and I'd say yes. Like if somebody had Pokemon, we left their establishment with all the Pokemon because we believed in it going up at a rapid rate before most people were on this train. So like in June, as early as June, we were like, hey, this is gonna get big right now. So we were buying it in those kind of quantities. But I do the same thing with Magic, and it was a different story. I'd say, how much for those 10 dual lands, and they'd pull out their TCG player and say, well, this one, the lowest comp is this, so I can sell it to you for that and that. So I think the store owners kind of come into it. They were willing to give really good deals below market rate on Pokemon, but Magic is such a staple and been around for so long that they didn't need to give any discount. So it's much harder for us to get. Or if a collection comes into the store, the guys know enough people that'll pay them full price that they're not going to even give us a 10% discount. We are running a business here. I can't pay full price for items. So
Right.
It's kind of a bit harder commodity, and Pokemon will get to be that way too. As Pokemon, like if you look at base set unlimited Charizard, we've bought thousands of them over the last 3 years, all for under $300, and now I can't find a single one for under $300. So it kind of just balances out the same way where they just say, the card shops will go, I don't need to sell this for any kind of discount because the demand is so high. So
Right.
Magic is not that way though. The demand in Magic is even still just as high as Pokemon. With Pokemon in a full craze boom, Magic is always going to be high and always has been high.
Yeah. Yeah, the Magic market is really interesting because it seems like the collectors and the investors are a little bit different, operate a little bit differently than Pokemon. So that's been really interesting to see. And I mean, of course, it makes sense for you guys because, like what you said in the beginning, you want to ride the wave of Pokemon. Like that's just where the money is going, where the market is going. It totally makes sense. I know some guys in the Magic world, they do see at some point in time in the near future that Magic again will kind of do a little bit of an uptick, kind of like how Pokemon is doing right now. So if you can find things that are pretty reasonable, like buy what you got. Like for example, just recently I picked up a sealed booster box of Origins because there are these like kind of Bronze Age, boosters that will probably appreciate in value. Like right now, they seem a little bit undervalued, like the Masters 19, the Origins that I just bought. Which is probably why, it's not a Bronze Age, but the Winter, the Weatherlight, and then the Exodus, a little bit undervalued from what other people have been saying. So Magic is gonna continue to just grow just like Pokemon. And I think there's a lot that Pokemon investors can learn from Magic because they started a little bit earlier in those trends. There are those lessons there. So
Yeah, and the great stuff's always going to be great. What I mean? Like, even if there's like, some softening of the market with some of the like stuff, like I don't know, for example, Royal Assassins and Nightmares and Magic, right? It was a huge card in '93. Like, they were like the same price basically as like dual lands and stuff. But that great stuff really separated itself and never has gone down. Black Lotuses have been a continual uptick for the last 25 years. Same with dual
100%.
lands, and same with Moxes. The other stuff fluctuates based on play and based on a lot of other standards, but that high end stuff just never goes down. And I think it's gonna be the same way with Pokemon. Like the great stuff, the Charizards, the Venusaurs, the Blastoises, and the Pikachus. I don't think they're ever going to go down. I think they're going to be on a steady climb. You might see some drawback of stuff like Gyarados first editions or Zapdos. Selling a Zapdos for us, a Zapdos first edition, we sold for $12,000 in July. That just doesn't seem like it can stabilize itself. But maybe that's the floor now. Maybe that's just where this is all going. But I think that great stuff, that high end, the Blastoise, the Venusaur, the Charizard, I don't think they're ever going to go down. I think they're going to be in a continual growth based on just demand forever. So at least that's what my hope is.
I'm sure everyone else putting all the major bucks into it, they feel the same way. But bringing it back, like not even lessons to be learned from Magic, but also the lessons to be learned from sports cards. like what you're saying, the vintage staples are going to grow continuously, and maybe, I don't know, I wonder if we'll see maybe less vintage sports cards, because now that they're aging so much more. I mean, you're looking at cards that are older, what, 30 years or more older. Like, you at this point you want to just make sure that you keep them in the best condition you can.
Sure, sure. And like in sports is the same way that stuff like Mickey Mantles have never gone down in my
Mhm.
entire lifetime. There's never been a spot where it's like, oh, there's a little bit of a
Not
dip
too
in the
sure
Mickey
about that
Mantle
one.
market. I just don't feel like Mickey Mantles have ever gone down.
Mhm.
So it's like, those elite things of Roberto Clemente, Hank Aaron,
Mhm.
Willie Mays, for football, Tom Brady's, this stuff just isn't going to go down. The stuff that goes down is the guys that are can be forgotten. And I feel bad for saying that, but kind of the minor tier players, like no one really thinks about. Let's see, who's a great example here. Alex Smith he's at the Redskins now, but he was the number one pick in 2005. He had all this hype. He got his team to a Super Bowl, but he's been kind of an average quarterback for his whole career, so his prices have kind of dwindled. Where the guy drafted 24 spots later, Aaron Rodgers, has seen nothing but growth because he's maintained a consistent superstar level his whole career, and he just won't dip. He'll go into the Hall of Fame. He's a legend. He'll always be
Mhm.
that kind of legend, and that's the same thing with Pokemon or Magic. Charizard is the legend of Pokemon. He'll never go down. You know, um, Black Lotus and Moxes are the legends of Magic. Those things will never go down. It's that second tier that you just have to worry about. But that's where there's money to be made on that stuff too. You just have to be, like I said, you have to be buying it right, getting it into it where you can't have a loss, and then taking a guess at what's the height of the market, or just feeling good about where the market price is and what's your level, what's your threshold for pain.
Mhm.
If you want to sell something for a small profit, like I think you mentioned on one of your other podcasts, the unlimited booster pack you sold it for a profit, but your threshold for pain now, knowing that that's a $1,500 pack now. It's one of those things where you sold it for a great price. That was the price, and that's what it was. But Travis is selling a base set first edition box that he had found at a swap meet for $7,000, knowing now it's a $350,000 box. Travis's threshold for pain is pretty high. He actually doesn't care because he sold it for market price and sold it to a friend who now works for us, by the way. He
That's awesome.
yeah, he's a good guy. Um, but it's one of those things where it's just what's your kind of your goal, and how much money do you need to make on these things, and if that's even your goal. For me, it's my goal because that's currently my business. But when
Mhm.
I build, I build a 1970 Topps football set for $50. My goal wasn't to make a bunch of money and sell it. And I think I ended up selling the set for $250 or $200. But it wasn't about the profit for me. For me, it's about that challenge of the build and just the excitement that the hobby brought. So it's just all about what an individual person's goals are. So
Mhm. And depending on, like what you're saying, the kind of collector you are, if your number one goal is to find stuff that you really, really like, it's hard to
yeah,
lose. It's really hard to lose.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
I spend way too many nights at 1 o'clock in the morning looking at eBay auctions to see if there's any good deals because it's 4 a.m. in the East Coast, and 4 a.m. is the time that no one's on eBay. So
Gosh, that's you're in a good spot. You're in a good spot for that. And I bet, like, with all of your, like, I bet you've maxed out all of the listings that you could probably watch or save, because I think
yeah,
there's a cap.
yeah, and yeah, yes, we've definitely maxed those things out. We try to, like, and we've pared it down a lot lately. But at the beginning of the whole pandemic, we had no idea how we were going to get inventory for our auction.
Mhm.
There's a statewide closure in our state, so we couldn't even have customers come in to pick up their stuff or have customers come in to consign. So Travis and I were spending 16 hours a day each on eBay, just trying to
Wow.
get enough stuff to keep our auction going.
Mhm.
Um, so that's kind of what led to Travis driving around the country. Is like, well, we can find enough stuff on eBay to keep it going. Let's go out now and find some good deals.
Mm.
So that's kind of what led to that. But it's going to be really interesting to see how the market changes as things kind of hopefully open up next spring, to back to getting to kind of a return to normalcy. It's going to be really interesting to see how the market reacts to that. So, because a lot of these dealers, I mean, I've worked for two old school sports car dealers, the old curmudgeon-y types, and they get set in their ways where, they see this market price for Zion Williamson, Zion Williamson at Prism 10, PSA 10 Prisms at selling for $650, and now they're back down to the 400 range. Well, they get set in their ways that they can't not sell that Zion Williamson because for 625, because that's how high it had gotten. They aren't willing to kind of adjust with the market. And so that's when they end up with having stale inventory, and that's where businesses kind of start to hurt, is when they're not able to kind of flow with the market. So hopefully in the future, everything opens up, everybody's happy, makes a bunch of money, has good deals, and can collect whatever they want.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, I'm with that.
Yeah.
And then I guess I guess is like the last question I kind of wanted to leave us at. Like, you guys have obviously made it a business. You guys are paying your bills doing this. Like, that's really, really awesome. To anyone out there that might be wanting to do something similar or on a smaller scale just because they love it, like, what tips do you have?
My biggest tip is spend all the money all the time. I think that's the number one. If you're not, so many people that I know in this business is like, they want to have this cushion instead of having items. They want to have this, whatever their cushion is. Our threshold's very low. The account can be anywhere above $1, and I'm happy. If there's good stuff to buy out there that's worth more than the money, it, in a business sense, makes no sense to not own it. Not only that, but those things you're usually buying because you think they're even going up further. So you're buying them at a good deal. They're going up further. And what overwhelmingly happens with money since the beginning of time is it becomes worth less. We took, a chunk of money we had, I don't know what it was, in March. Maybe it was $100,000 worth of, business liquidity. And we invested it and reinvested it and reinvested it week after week after week after week we still have that amount of money, but we also have 15,000 really, really good cards at PSA. We have thousands of cards at Beckett. We have, I have in front of me probably 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 graded cards sitting on my front counter right now.
God, that's awesome. Take a picture. That's awesome.
Spend the money constantly. Don't worry about, because you own the items. The items are so easy to sell for what you thought was a good price. They're liquid. You can sell them anytime you need to. Spend the money, reinvest the money. Don't take a lot of money for yourself. Take the bare minimum until you feel like you've arrived. Obviously we don't anticipate making what we're making now forever. There's going to be chunks of money we take for ourselves because I need to buy a house.
We worked hard. We've never taken a single dollar. We take a normal person's salary, and other than that, we've never taken a single dollar. We take every dollar we reinvest in stuff.
That's awesome.
It's been hard for me because I'm a more conservative kind of saver type person, but I'm on board now. Like I'm fine. We spend every dollar we can that we don't have to give to an employee or to our rent. We spend every single dollar because it's just increasing your stuff. Like you buy stuff, and then you can buy a little bit better stuff and a little bit better stuff, and all of a sudden you eventually one day you get off the merry-go-round, and in theory you have a bunch of money or you have a bunch of really cool stuff. And I'm okay with either at this point, as long as I can pay my bills and make sure that all my employees are paid. I'm happy just having either a bunch of money at the end or a bunch of really, really cool stuff. And yeah, at this point, we every day we're like, well, maybe we shouldn't sell any of this stuff. Maybe we should just keep a bunch for ourselves. It's like
kind of hold some.
It's like, well, yeah, but right now it's like, well, we still have bills to pay, and Travis still, Travis is young, he still wants to buy a house and do all those fun things. I'm old, I've got my house, I've done all those things, but now Travis needs to have his time in life. So, yeah.
Well, it sounds like what you guys are saying too is that instead of having the cushion, quote unquote, in cash that doesn't appreciate in value, and if anything goes down because of inflation, have the cushion in product that will potentially appreciate. Because like you said, you can always move things. You can always liquidate what you need to for some
Yeah, find
cash.
stuff you believe in and just invest in it and go for it. Cause like there's no real savings accounts anymore that pay out good interest. I
Oh yeah,
mean,
it's
you
terrible.
might as well you might as well just go, buy a first edition Charizard instead of having a savings account is kind of my feeling. I'd rather have a case of Hidden Fates sitting in my closet than have the uh, you know, $600 it cost me, at the time. Even if it had gone down a little, I still rather have the items and know that like I can sit there and sit on it and sell it at any time. I could sell it today for, well, today is obviously it would have been a good profit, but even if it had gone down a little bit, like I still had fun knowing I owned it and having taken the chance of something that went up a little than not having taken that chance at all. I would rather take a little bit of a risk. But I'm a gambler at heart, and I love this stuff. And
I was listening to this podcast maybe a week or two ago about a cryptocurrency guy in relation to Pokemon. And he said you didn't need to be a good investor, a smart guy. You didn't need to be heavily invested. If you had any kind of an exposure to cryptocurrency, you got rich. It didn't matter if
Mm-hmm.
you thought, I'm the smartest trader of cryptocurrency or you made the worst decisions. You could have been the worst decision cryptocurrency guy and you got rich. And that's kind of how I feel Pokemon. I don't want to make everything sound like, hey, we're these geniuses that, spent $2 million on Pokemon in the last 6 months. Because we're like the top of the threshold. Like, I don't know if there's anybody that spent much more than we spent in the last 6 months on Pokemon. There may be, but the guys that have are buying the really expensive stuff that are like investment type pieces. But
Mm-hmm.
as far as raw cards and sealed product, I feel like we're definitely up there. But I don't want to make it sound like it takes a genius or somebody that really knows the market. Anybody that had exposure to the last 6 months in Pokemon, any exposure, you spent $100, you spent $500, you made good money on your investments. And if you're spending money now, it's probably going to be the same thing where you make good money on your investment. So running a business right now, you don't need to have the most good business sense. You really need to, if you believe in Pokemon, even bad business right now in Pokemon, if it continues to go up at even just an okay rate, we'll do fine. So it's that exposure to it is most important. You could be really bad at gauging. You could have overpaid for a PSA 9 Charizard in June at $9,000, right? And you still did fine. It's still worth 60,000 now. So um, if you really believe in Pokemon and it's your passion, just jump in, get a business license. You don't need to quit your day job. Get a business license, start being able to write off your costs, and then pay on your profits. There's nothing wrong with that. Don't feel like you need to be an expert or really business mind. If you really believe in Pokemon, just having the exposure to it's going to carry you far enough.
Yeah, I really really like that. And to kind of piggyback off on what you're saying, I don't know that much about the stock market, but what people have always said or told me, you are still better off investing in the stock market, even though like it's dipped like very very deeply several times throughout it, the 100+ years that we've been doing it. You're still better off putting your money in the stock market, overall in the long term, thinking about it, over that 100 years. So like what you're saying, exposure. I think I 100% agree with you. So then, gosh, like we've had such a good conversation. I'm going to email you guys so that we can set up another one because this was really good. And I think there's a lot of things that people can learn from hearing you guys talk because you are just in the weeds every single day, 16 hours a day. So I guess what we could do is we can leave this off for now. So if you guys want to just let everybody know where they can find you, we can leave it at that.
Sure. Yeah, we if you want to bid on Proxbid, that's our auction site. That's where items start at $1. We combine shipping. That's goingtwice.com. It's really easy because they're all the same. So goingtwice.com for Proxbid. You go there, you bid on the items. We charge you cheap shipping. We ship you whatever you want. We're gonna charge you buyer's premium, but there's going to be no extra taxes. Nothing like that. Not so much like eBay. Our eBay account is goingtwice_com. We have auctions ending on there about 5 days a week, all graded cards, Pokemon, basketball, soccer, hockey, basically everything. That's all 99 cent start with free shipping. And then if you want to follow us on Instagram, it's goingtwice_com as well. That's where we post pictures of our highest end slabs. So if I, like last week, I had a first edition BGS 9 holo set for Pokemon. I don't necessarily put that stuff on eBay. I don't really put that stuff on my auction as of right now, but I will sell it to somebody directly. So if somebody would have said, hey, I'll give you $120,000 for it, I would have gotten a plane, I would have flown it to you, we would have did the deal. So that
and you would have stayed at a Motel 6.
Yeah,
I stayed at a Motel 6 and got his cashier's check.
That's awesome. Well, hey, I appreciate you guys. I'm going to put all the links in the show notes. So, I love your Instagram account, by the way. It's so nice. So much. I guess, I don't know if
Travis
I can say this Pokemon porn.
Travis does a very, very good job with that.
See, self-managed. I love it. Well, anyways, thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Have a good night. And I'll be reaching out for sure for part 2. So
we'll talk soon.
Yeah. Take it easy.
All right. Thanks, Jessica. Have a good one.
You too.